in the back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break, watch John Cruise's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show, get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
This BassU go. You know, we didn't have that back then.
Dude, it can just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed. Welcome to BassU Live. I'm Justin Kimmel, the professional fish head for BassU TV and your host for tonight. Lucky me, I cannot wait for the content of tonight's show. We've got some special guests. We might get into a really tough tournament that a couple of them fished. We might talk to Pete. We might not. And you know, I've graduated from being the guy with the list to now the list becomes kind of a Q&A panel that I cannot wait. A lot of great questions. The topic later that we'll get into is on-water decision-making. By far, one of the most talked about things at our BassU seminars during the Q&A periods. A lot of great stuff I cannot wait to get into. But who we with tonight? We've got a full cast of characters in our studio. Who's that we see over there? We got GDP back in the house, Greg DePalma.
Am I on right?
Yeah. Sumrall.
Yeah, I couldn't hear if my mic was on. Yeah, what's going on, JK? How are you, buddy? It feels good to be back.
Man, good. Yeah, man, good to see you. Guys, definitely seemed like you were fishing every week there for a little while.
Yeah, we've been us two been pretty darn busy for sure.
And Caleb, you guys, you've been filming with us today. I heard great stories. I saw awesome pictures. And I heard that you were better at catching fish than Lee Livesey.
Y'all trying to stir something up over there. But no, man, we had a good time. Fished a lot of grass, a lot of stuff around some grass. So anytime I was doing that, I'm doing that. I'm having a good time. So
yeah, did I hear a rumor of a 5-pounder?
Oh yeah,
today?
pretty nasty, pretty gnarly catch. It's going to be a great video. I can't wait to see it.
Love it. You know, BassU TV, when we're filming on water videos for you guys, you know, it's not always about the fish catches, but man, when we get one like that, it's like icing on the cake.
Oh, dude, I figured that. I remember you telling me that. You didn't really care if we got a fish catch, but, dude, we managed to get one for all three techniques. It was pretty cool.
Oh, right. Look at you, man. Somebody give him a bonus. That's awesome, Caleb. Man, well, it's so I'm so pumped about the content that we got with you and with Lee this week. Our on-water production crew working hard. We put Pete right to work after he got back from his Bassmaster Open at Oneida. And, of course, we've got the guys running the show, BTC and the birthday boy, Riz. What's up?
Happy birthday.
Is it happening?
Nah, he threatened to kick the computer if we sang. So,
Yeah.
happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, man. Another trip around the sun, probably another 1,100 fish caught, and 14 club dubs and a BFL one. Nice,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, sounds better than it is. But yeah, it's been an awesome last couple of days filming with these guys. Yesterday with Lee Livesey, today with our man Caleb Sumrall. Awesome content that we got from both these guys. We literally talked to them about what they are the best in the world at, and that's just something special. One, to be able to sit in on that and experience it firsthand, but to be a part of the production, to be able to start putting this stuff out on the interwebs for all of our BassU family, it's really awesome. So I can't wait to see this content get out there, and I look forward to the next shoot.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of all that awesome content on BassU TV, you know, guys, if you're not signed up, if you're not a member of BassU TV, we are pumping out 3, 4, and sometimes 5 pieces a week for you guys right now. I think we have an awesome annual promotion that is ending very soon. I think we have 1 week left of the Frog Days of Summer that gets you to River to Sea, Ish Monroe, fat frogs or fat Matt Daddy frogs. It's a mouthful, but they are awesome frogs. He obviously won on this frog at lacrosse a few years back. And of course the lucky hat, the latest lucky hat at BassU, the official camo hat for
that's the good one.
We all love that camo hat, and it catches fish. Let's be honest. But Riz, what else we got?
So hold on. What hat did Lee have yesterday?
Unlucky.
I think he was just wearing his curly hair.
That's what he
Wearing the
gets.
curly hair hat.
See, he didn't have the hat.
Were these two in the same boat together?
No.
Oh, good move.
No doubt.
But yeah, JK, as always, we got some stuff going out the door tonight. We got a grand prize going out for our subscribers. That's some TH Marine product, Rapala, Missile, some Rod Warrior rod sleeves as well. And also tonight for our guys over on Facebook, we're taking care of you too. All you got to do is like and share tonight's feed, and you'll be entered in for a chance to win a $75 gift pack from all of our amazing sponsors at BassU TV. And for a couple of questions during the show, we're going to be giving out 2 $25 Gills Gear gift cards. So, guys, get your questions in on the message board. I want to bring them in and ask our guys on the panel tonight and get you the info to help you catch more big fish.
Man, as always, locked and loaded to litter the BassU TV universe with awesome gifts and prizes. So look forward to you guys participating and jumping in on the message board and, using your questions and jump in there right with me when we get into this awesome topic that I'm super pumped about, on-water decision-making. Brian, what you got?
I want to give a shout-out to our guy, Bud Cipoletti. We had the Wizard out there filling in for Jeff today and yesterday. Filming these guys. Bud's awesome, man. He's one of the best, if not the best. He gets some really, really awesome. I know that fish catch is going to look amazing. So.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But will make it like romantic and
Fireworks.
Yeah, there'll be dragons,
airplane, dragons, yeah, breathing
Sure,
fire in the
dude.
backgrounds, sharks,
The
swimming around the boat.
Monsters going to come out of the bay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing to get a couple days with our friend Bud. It seems like he has the most busy schedule there is. I mean, he's in another state every time I look up.
Oh, he's already in another state, actually.
Probably 2 of them.
Yeah, I heard he was headed back north. So, man, awesome to get a couple days with our boy.
Bud's
Bud.
the man.
Yeah, I wish I was out there with you guys.
Hey, so we got Pete sitting in the queue, showing up, fashionably late, but why don't we hit that quick commercial break, come back, and jump right into the meat of this thing? What'd you say? We there?
Let's
Ready?
do it.
All right, just that in the third.
Dive in.
All right, man. We'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
If you're not signed up, get signed up now. Go.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love casting fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gills Performance Fishing.
2021 Red Crest champion Dustin Connell here, and if you watch live coverage, we just got done at Lake Eufaula. I caught my fish using the active target with Lowrance. What you didn't see is I run a Sea Clear power harness in my boat. One of the main advantages to running this harness is it does not drain my batteries down at all running my 4 units. And what that's going to allow me to do is I'm able to see my bait at 8 a.m. just as good late in the day. Y'all check them out at seaclearpower.com.
You take pride in your boat. so it deserves the best protection possible. Our durable woven fabric prevents ripping and provides UV protection, and our tape seams provide protection against the elements. The heavy-duty shock cord hem and strap and buckle system provide a tight and secure fit. Our top-of-the-line boat covers come with a ventilation system to keep your boat free from mold buildup. Empire Covers, protecting what you love.
And we are back, and now we are joined with our fearless leader, straight from the dean's office, and fresh, well, I shouldn't say fresh off, fresh on a 3-tournament roll. That is quite crazy if you really think about it. But Pete Glusek joining us from the dean's office. It's good to have you, boss.
Hey, JK, appreciate you, holding the reins while I was away. Nice job. It's good to be here. What's up, boys? At the in studio. Wish I was hanging out with you guys. Hope you guys are doing good.
We're doing fantastic, Pete.
Outstanding.
You know what I'm saying?
I do, man. We've had an outstanding couple of days, man. It's like JK, the shoot we had was amazing. We were out with Lee Livesey and Caleb, who's in studio. What a terrific Bass University seminar shoot we had last couple of days, guys. At home, you're gonna want to check some of this stuff out because it was some pretty amazing stuff, JK.
Man, I'm so excited. I got pictures, I got videos, I got text from you and Riz, and I was excited going into it, but knowing that we nailed it, and we've got 6 new seminars coming to you to BassU TV with 2 guys who just are on top of the bass fishing universe right now with Lee and Caleb. It's very exciting. Very exciting.
Nothing was more exciting than Caleb today jacking that punching fish. Caleb, you made Ike look calm.
Dude, I was fired up, man. I told you it was about to go down. So I had talked up a big storm of what could have been. So it was really nice to see it come together because I was having doubts too, a little bit. But I was talking to big game, and I'm like, man, I'm feeling it. And when I got that bite, got in the boat, I was fired up.
Man, I was, me and Riz are sitting there watching this go down. And we're trying to keep quiet, right? Because we don't want to step on the audio.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, why nobody talking to me? We were like trying to high five everybody, and they're like, nope, you got to do your thing. You're like, I was trying to be, I kind of forgot where I was for a second. Didn't know what to do with my hands, type of thing. I get excited when I catch 5-pounders in the mat.
I bet.
Dude, we got excited. Rich is like stomping his feet, trying to contain himself. And I'm going nuts, and you're looking at us like, why are they being so weird?
Right.
But it was awesome, man. You stuck that fish, man. 5-pounder comes flying up out of the mat and gets swung in the boat, man. That's your excitement, man. It was contagious. It was really cool. And it was great to spend the day with you. I mean, you could see I've been around a lot of guys that, teaching and training stuff. And man, when you started talking about punching mats, you found a whole new gear, man. You hit a level.
I did. I appreciate that, Pete.
Yeah, this is your deal, man. This is where you love to be.
That's
punching
right.
mats.
That's
well,
right.
You did it your way, and it was pretty cool.
I can't wait to see it. I know, Pete, you and I talked about this a little earlier on a phone call after you left the bay, but man, we've seen Caleb quite a bit on Bassmaster Live, and that's all earned. And to his credit, I think he finished 7th or 6th in the standings this year. So he had the camera on him a lot, a lot of different places. Yeah. And one thing I picked up on Caleb Sumrall, and we talked about this, is he has an aggressive hook set. I mean, punishes them. So I cannot wait to see just how hard he tried to break his rod.
I almost took out a couple people today. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know if Bud's going to put an emphasis on those replays, but I for sure almost took out Riz, and I had some people on edge.
I bet.
I can only imagine.
there were 1 ounce and ounce and a half VMC weights coming flying.
Yeah, they were flying.
It's powerful, man. It's an aggressive hook that you're exactly right, JK, and you guys will all see it on BassU TV.
So, Cal,
we're going to be.
Cal, what did you have? You and Lee had to have a little side bet going on, something, right?
I don't know. I just knew that when he told me he didn't catch crap, I had to go catch him.
You only had to get one.
I had
That's what that
the pressure. So the pressure was off. So
yeah, that's what that excitement was. Pete, he knew he had trash talking rights right there on that first bite. So.
Man, that's well, Lee was awesome, and we were making him try to catch fish in a condition that was incredibly tough to catch fish in. And but Lee, honestly, Lee was terrific. Teaching us about the way he fishes a frog. And one thing you guys are going to notice when you watch this video that struck me is how short he trims the legs on his hollow bellies. I mean, he cuts them off, man, like down to an inch. And
my ears perked. Is this? I guess I shouldn't pull all the juice from it, but is this like specific to mat fishing, Pete?
Yes.
No, you believe me. There's so much juice we can't even touch it on what we're going to talk about here. But he trims them, and he in essence creating a smaller profile bait, because a hollow belly is already a big profile, know. So he cuts it down to what seems like a manageable profile, and feels like he gets more. He still gets the big ones, but gets more of them, and can walk the dog so easily it skips. You can imagine without that drag, you can skip that baby twice as far. So that's just one of the sweet little advantages of it. One of the other things that kind of shocked me is a lot of talk about the smaller size, the next size down hollow belly style frog. Yep. It's an important part of his arsenal, and he talks all about how he uses it, when he uses it, which styles have the best hooks, because when you go, a lot of times you get to that little mini frog, it's the hooks are kind of teeny tiny on some of them, but some of them have some meat grabbers. So neat stuff, man. But I tell you, the coolest stuff is the Mega Live. Like BTC, you will never stop fishing the bridge pilings in the Susquehanna River ever again after what we saw.
Is that right, huh? Chasing ghosts out there? What's going on?
Oh my God. It's like, GDP, it was crazy. The schools of bait and the bass that were hiding around the pilings and the aprons and all of this massive population of fish that just live around each one of these pilings absolutely blew my mind.
How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, back to the frog thing real quick. I was just curious.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering how everybody trims their frog off. So you said is that specific to Matt's what Lee was doing, like just for that situation?
No, he was doing it when he was fishing on the in the skipping under laydowns and open water cover up in the creek.
Caleb?
I trim my legs really short when it's specific to mat fishing.
Right.
And I don't trim them much shorter or much longer when I'm not. I don't want to thread the needle here, But.
So we talking like Patrick Walter short, Tommy Biffle short? What are we talking about?
He's most definitely talking about Tommy Biffle short.
Oh, we're Biffles.
We're Biffle.
Biffle short. All right, Greg?
Well, it depends. I've been fishing a frog a little bit different lately.
Okay.
I've been actually cutting the legs right to the actual where it comes out of the body. I've been cutting them right against that just to keep the water out. I don't pull them all the way out. But I've been popping the frog super hard and trying to when you pull the legs off, it seems like it sits still a lot better when you pop it hard.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird.
Very interesting.
But I actually had a pickerel suck the legs out of it, and I started fishing it that way, and I started getting more bites that way.
Interesting.
It's just a weird way it happened, and I started cutting them right against it.
Ah.
But yeah. It's just another weird way of fishing something.
No pants.
But you can pop it hard and it sits still with no legs because the legs would make it kind of do this. If there's nothing back here to do that, it's just going forward.
What's it doing?
That's the best way I can explain it.
I know.
It's like a dance move.
I don't know how.
That's right. Back what's his name? Travolta.
Mike Centaur.
Awesome.
That's a different level.
Gotcha.
It's funny. I think Dean was on the show saying that he doesn't mess with them at all. Like he keeps them full length as manufactured.
How about you, Pete and Justin?
I after watching Lee, I gotta say, man, I really like the strategy behind making that a slightly smaller profile. I just think you'll get more, and they'll connect, potentially connect better with it, because the target's, right there. They don't have that 3-4 inches of leg or whatever it is to miss.
So Greg goes Lieutenant Dan.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan. You could definitely good analogy. You can definitely skip it, like I would say 3-4 feet further, like back in the stuff easily with no legs. I mean, it's a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of versatility here because, down here, I don't fish a lot of cheese like you guys. I gotta travel to do that kind of frogging. Seminole or Eufaula or Gunnersville, somewhere 3 or 4 hours away. So I frog a lot though, but it's a lot of target frogging.
Open water frogging.
And Riz, you got the session, with me, when you traveled down here and fished together. We had a short frog session, but I was doing non-grass frogging, if you will.
Yeah.
I feel like the long legs in that scenario, when you sit that frog still, that rubber never settles.
Yeah.
It just keeps rotating, or it just never settles. And you can get them on kind of long pauses. But I've done the same thing when I've gone to the grass lakes, and it's making me think that I got to be more open to being more efficient. And obviously I'm hearing skipping better. I'm hearing, the right profile, and you're not having any drag and having that fish, misidentify the target and stuff. I can see
on the other side of that too is like you're talking the open water frog, and that's where I really like to. I trim one just a little bit, but I also trim the other one halfway, and I feel like that's where you get that really good open water walking the dog action.
Agree.
Right.
It's a lot easier if that's the action you're looking for with the walking style frog, like this Pro 65. That's how I'll cut them. Like how you're talking, like open water, under laydowns, under bushes, around docks and stuff like that.
Yep. Well, yeah, and the longer legs, like if you were doing like the popping frog and you want to keep it in one place longer for fry guard or something like that, those longer legs, like the old school ones, you still can maybe get some on eBay, but like the old school ones have like the Spros have like the super long legs. Now they don't have half the length on them when you get them out of the package.
Right.
But I like stocked up on some of those old ones for those kind of scenarios because I just love those super long legs. But,
efficiency. You said a big word, efficiency, and I heard Caleb say that.
A lot.
A lot. High speed reels when you're flipping. Lee said it too, but man, Caleb, it's all about efficiency with you.
Yep. You got to be efficient, man. You can't waste any time. Every second could be a possible 5-pounder in a tournament. Make or break your day,
No question. And that was a big deal. What else I heard both you guys talk about was the fermentation state of the cheese on the mat.
Yep.
Like our mats where we were fishing were new, right? These mats are beginning to canopy, so their cheese has not quite begun to ferment. and as such, like when you get the cheese, the yellowish or the greenish colorations on top of a mat, what it does is it blocks the sunlight. It's algae of some kind, and I guess it blocks the sunlight, and it creates that canopy. Yeah. Explain that a little bit, Caleb. You were talking about that a little bit today.
So when the grass is growing up and it's thick, the stems actually have leaves on them. We're looking at giant, massive hydrilla mats. That's the main grass there, and there's some other type of grass. I'm not too sure what it is. But you might know, Greg.
River grass.
We
call it
grass,
aquatic,
river grass.
It's just like a river grass.
Yep.
That wasn't the main thing in play. It was just kind of mixed in. But the main mat was the hydrilla mats. And all across the country, everywhere we've ever been, when that stuff just gets topped out, you got about a 3-week period, depending on how it grows, where that top of that mat gets really thick, and those stems, all the leaves tend to die off. And what you get when that happens is you get bigger canopies, bigger openings under those mats. And those fish will hang out under there, and brim will get up under those thick mats and eat food and eat brush and bugs that fall through the cracks. And those bass will sit up under there, and they can just come. You can throw a frog way back up on those cheese mats when the canopies open up, and those fish just have so much further to come to get a bait. The rooms are bigger is the way I think about it. The canopies are bigger. The holes are bigger where they can come and eat a frog or catch a punching bait. That's when hydrilla mats really excel, is really when they start to die off and cheese over and those stems start to die out. But don't get me wrong, we caught fish today. But again, it goes into that efficiency category where it's like, am I really showing all the fish here a bait? So in a couple weeks, we think that those areas are going to really pop off. You think you really catch a lot once those cheese mats really die off and make those big holes.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens. GDP, I can't believe the grass out there. I've never seen the hydrilla out on the flats like we saw today. I was gone for 2 or 3 weeks. I come back and it's crazy out there, man. It's just what do you think of that massive hydrilla explosion going on out there?
Yeah, it seems like I would say the last 4 years have just been completely different out there. Every year being different. I actually went out there to a super hard edge. I haven't been out there in over a month, and I ran out to a super hard edge that usually never grows grass off this edge, and down inside the trough was full of grass, and I'm like, wow, that's different. So yeah, it's definitely a different kind of year. I mean, it's jam packed, big time. I had to stop for 1 second and jam the motor up. I was like, damn.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, wow, normal way I always go out there.
Hydrilla is king.
Yep.
Any other place we've ever seen that we've gone to that has a fraction of hydrilla has always been a good fishery.
Yep.
I know the flats are a great fishery, but dude, it's good to see hydrilla grow in places because I know a lot of areas it doesn't last long,
we haven't had it for years. Like
That's awesome.
It's been milfoil, eelgrass,
awesome.
aquatic, and then now it's been like a lot of hydrilla.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, dude, I love hydrilla.
Yep.
It's life.
Yeah, for you.
I was telling Pete, that's exactly what I was telling Pete today. Just hydrilla is life, dude. When you got hydrilla, you got big bass, dude. I don't care where you come from, where you've been.
Yep.
So that's exciting.
This place is healthy for sure.
That's right.
Yep.
And the Potomac is had this kind of hydrilla the last few years. And I guess it's creeped its way up to the Upper Bay now this year. But yeah, it's explosive out there, and who knows what it's gonna bring. Like you said, Caleb, I hope it just keeps making it better and better.
I think it will too. More places to hide. Protect
dude,
them.
that's what it does, dude. It protects them all year long.
Yep.
It's easier to sustain fishing pressure, and I guess it's because I really like the fish grass that I know I'm gonna not light the world on fire, but I know that if a bunch of boats getting grass, I feel like the fishing pressure in a certain area can hold up better with grass.
Agree.
That's what I kind of feel about grass areas and grass lakes.
Yeah, so all you guys that are subscribers from this area, don't watch it because I don't want you out there punching on the other
Wait till it's dead.
Don't do it. Yeah. We'll let that one slip. Where were we? The Delaware River?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I got a question though, guys, since I've got 2 grass experts on the panel. While we wait for Pete, I don't know what happened. He might have lost service. Yeah, there he is. Hey, but the question, and I'm going to pose it to you guys, and Pete included, because you're all grass experts, and this is me learning. Plus, I got a couple derbs with some hydrilla on the schedule later this fall.
Hey, Pete. Bye, Pete.
You are when you're looking for, say you got a lot of cheese. Obviously, you will in the fall. So that hydrilla thing's it's happening where it's making the canopies and all that stuff. And we know hydrilla is pretty thick before it gets to that point. But what kind of sneaky stuff are you looking for? Like, do you like to find stuff that's close to like deep water? Do you like finding hydrilla mats that touch up to the bank or mix with wood? Or, I mean, is there anything that like you're like looking for when you've got just so much, you know, to choose from? What helps you kind of narrow down, you know, where you're starting to try to find them in that hydrilla? You want to go first or me to go?
Go ahead.
So one thing that I have definitely experienced multiple times that, you know, a lot's been on the bay too, but, you know, if I pull in there, one thing you can tell about a mat is if it's alive or not alive. So many times I pull in, you hear nothing, and then you'll get to one small section, you hear popping, you know, inside the map. You'll see stuff flickering on top. It always seems like wherever there's a live mat, there's always bass.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm sure Caleb's going to tell you, any kind of channel swing that I've ever been across with a mat against it, man, it's always been money.
That's what I was going to go for. Like any type of drain, point, broken mat, isolated mats. Basically, the same way you'd look at like a dock or a laydown, an isolated laydown, or one dominant laydown, one big laydown coming off a bank. It's the same way with mats. If you look at a big old mat field and you see one part of the mat that's like thicker than the rest, or protrude out further than the rest, or that's going to be a key area. Just anything different is key. I talked about it a lot today, talking about where two different grasses meet. Say with you know, hydrilla meeting rivergrass or eelgrass meeting hydrilla. That defined line of where those two grasses meet can equal a bite. Yeah,
definitely.
Anything different.
I think you're dead on GDP when you said it, because Caleb said it too. When we were beginning to film, we were the boat was up on top of the mat, right? It was a great shot. We're going to talk mat fishing. We drove Riz's bass cat right up on the mat, and Caleb's like jumping out of his skin the whole time. He's like, "Look at the bait! Look at the, you know, can you hear those fish?"
I was like, "Oh my god, that's right." Bass.
Yep. It's noise is got to be your first. If there's life there, there's going to be predators there. Completely agree. And the other thing that I always look for is just like you're talking about is the canopy. You know, a lot of times the hydrilla grows so dense and tight, and it's young and it's fresh, and there's really not a lot of canopy. And a lot of times you can identify that canopy by the yellow cheese or the green, you know, moss that's growing on top, that, you know, where you see the healthy grass laying over. And then beyond that is where that cheese starts. And that's where the canopy is. That's where they have more of an ambush opportunity. And, you know, you add that with some bluegills popping.
Right.
Man, you can't miss with all.
Yeah, that's some great answers. I did not think that the biggest synchronization among y'all's answers would be noise.
Life.
You know,
life.
And that speaks volumes. Don't make it too hard on yourself. They'll tell you where they're. Yeah. So one more question real quick, because I know we got to talk some other stuff, but I'm geeking out right now because I got 3 experts. So frogs, punching. What else? How can you catch them any other way?
Chatterbait, swim jig, stick bait. We're talking about grass.
I'm talking about mats.
Mats.
Like
hydrilla mats. That's going to be your one. That's going to be my 1-2 punch.
Same here for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe a variation of baits and weights and sizes if you can mix it up.
Seriously, dude. You can fish away from the boat with the frog over the mats that you can't flip because you're flipping, you know, kind of in this one little area by your boat. But that's if I'm attacking cheese and mats, that's my 1-2 punch. I know Greg's the same way.
Yep. I don't really know the other, you know, efficient way to really get through it and fish it properly besides them two.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to throw a DT20.
Yeah.
Dredging it.
But
make you a big hole.
That's right.
But yeah, you know, you challenged me with that question, JK, because I'm considering that option, and you know, I went back through, you know, there's really no other way.
No.
You know, you either got to get them to come up blowing through it, or you got to go in after them.
I can give you one example of one time, you know, I did something and it made a difference. So one time I was out there, And I was getting through the mats, but I still wasn't getting the bites. And I went down on the weight, but I actually put like a 5-inch Senko and flipped that. And it seemed to make a difference one day where I really caught them really good. So it gave me less weight, but the Senko allowed me to go through easier. So I kind of mixed up them two together, and it kind of made a difference.
Yeah.
The one day, that I was actually doing it. It was on the bay, too.
So I never really talked about that today, but I'll talk on it right now if you want. I've experienced that same scenario you're talking about. Pete, you might be familiar with the bait. You know missile baits, missile crawl?
Sure.
It's just, it's a slender profile bait. It does nothing.
Yep.
But it's almost like
Same scenario.
Yeah, but it's just it's a good punching bait. I didn't have any on me today, but I've seen it before where a normal size D-bomb or a 5-inch creature bait.
Yep. Too much.
It's too much.
Yep.
That's the best way I can explain it. So I went to that missile crawl, and dude, this bait does nothing. It literally, your bait goes through the mat 100 miles an hour, the same weight, it's the same 1.25 ounce weight. It sped my bait up, and it didn't flap, doesn't do nothing, no action. And, dude, I started wrecking them.
I believe it.
I just knew there was fish there, and I just couldn't believe why I wasn't getting bit. This was in Venice, Louisiana. I know there's just millions of fish down there, and there was just isolated mats. And I just knew there was fish there, but the bait profile didn't fit what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to something that was really slender and super fast, and just my flips were just like a mile a minute, and they were just jumping on it, dude. I went to catch like 100 fish that day after I figured that one little deal out. I'll never forget it.
That's key. See, back in the 1600s when I started punching mats.
Back in the 15. What do you say?
He was cable back then, no braid.
I don't know if you guys remember the Florida screw lock. Weight.
Gambler.
Yeah. They were made of lead. They were, an ounce weight was, as big as my engine on my boat, huge. And what I learned it in Florida, right? I'm trying to punch in Florida for the first time. And I was catching a lot of fish back then. The lizard was a king shape to be throwing. And an 8-inch lizard is something you want to throw a big bait in Florida. So I got a big lizard with a 1 ounce Florida screw lock lead weight. And I'm trying to get it through the mat. And every arm of the lizard is grabbing onto that hydrilla and the tail, and it just won't let the bait go through. Right. But when you could get it through, it would take you 20 flips, but you could finally get one through, and you would get the bite. And what happened was the beaver style baits came out, which were smaller in profile, no appendages to grab.
Go right through.
And boom, they go right through, and you were 10 times as efficient. Back to efficiency. And I've seen that a lot. I've done it. Like if you're flipping a bait and you're having a hard time, you can pull the appendages off to help it through. And you can put, scent. A lot of the scents are oil based, and it'll help it slip through. And stick bait is a great choice too, just to help you get through. Because I saw you today, Caleb, as heavy as that, you were punching 1.5 ounces. And throwing the D-bomb, and at times you couldn't get that bait through with an 1.5 ounce weight. That's how thick the mat was.
Wow.
Yeah, fun fact about that bait, that missile bait, that was actually designed with Shannon Wheeler in mind because of how little it does. Shannon works at Missile Baits and doesn't do a whole lot, so they came up with that bait. They were going to call it Shannon, and then that didn't make any sense, and then like Wheeler, but there's other Wheelers, so they called it what they call it.
Which one we're talking about?
The D-bomb.
The D-bomb?
No, the punch bait that doesn't do anything.
The missile crawl. Now I get it. Okay.
It took me a second, too.
Sorry.
I don't know the guy.
My only follow-up is, because that's why I posed the question, because that's what everybody does. Everybody's frogging or punching, you know? And here's some of these other things kind of give you, it opens up the tool chest of creativity. The only thing I'm going to ask is, because it's been out for a few years now, it has yet to win in that way. And it's kind of like there's been this transition to it being more of a offshore structure scenario. But I want to bring it back to punching. is the Tokyo rig, because I want to try it, because I don't know if a lot of people are doing it or not. Had any three of you guys tried a Tokyo rig?
I haven't on mat fishing. No, I have not.
I haven't. I've actually heard of a couple anglers that told me that it's really good for hydrilla. I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
I have way too much confidence flipping an ounce and a half on top of a bait like conventional style. One of these days I'm gonna get bored, or I'm gonna mess around with it, and I believe Fighter does it on deep milfoil.
I believe it.
I think he throws it on like little bitty rock piles inside milfoil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's not all he does. He teaches on BassU about how he uses it on the mats, and he says that he said it here on the live show that he can get penetration with like almost half the weight.
Really?
Using the Tokyo rig.
Yeah. That was an interview at iCast one year. You can find it on BassU TV. And
he said, I guess I'm gonna have to give that a try.
Like,
right?
If you need a 1 ounce for a Texas rig, he could get a half ounce.
Interesting,
right? Pete?
Yep, that's what he said. And honestly, I don't get to do it that much, so I haven't had a chance to do it. But now we have a playground in our backyard, that's going to be continued to mat. It's going to aggressively, cheese up and do all the things that mats do as the summer progresses. So I've got a playground out there this year.
Pete's playground.
So I don't know what I'm going to find out. Well, what you're a king of the one-liners tonight, DC.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah. So to kind of transition us here, Pete, we're talking about punching. You had a great Toyota Series finish punching last year, I believe. And man, you've really just picked the flipping stick up for 3 solid finishes. We were talking about 2 last week, and now you put up another. And I believe you had the flipping stick in your hand, not punching, but flipping. And let's talk about it, guys. You and Greg both fished Oneida. It looked like it was a brutally tough Oneida, tougher than we've ever seen it. You guys been there a lot. But, yeah, I want to hear about it, guys.
Well, to me, Oneida is always brutally tough. So I know Greg has enjoyed some wonderful success and fishing days out there, but it's always been a monster, a bear for me to wrestle. And so I was glad to get it going my way. But actually, I don't think I even talked about this on the show, but on Champlain and on the Toyota Series, I actually punched the mat. I remember today watching Caleb, but I caught back-to-back cast 4 and a 5 pounder out of a mat on Champlain that consisted of dead floating eelgrass, or not really dead, it's still green, but it was floating eelgrass mat amongst a bunch of floating, branches and stuff.
Wow.
So that's mat fishing even played a role there. But picking up the flipping stick, and that's what I did at Oneida. I was I'd figured out some areas where I could flip, and there were smallmouth and largemouth mixed together, and I never knew which one I was going to get. And but Caleb, you talked about this today.
What's that?
Is the flipping strategy of 5 to 7 bites a day.
Yep.
The mental approach to that you talked about a lot today, and that's what I did at Oneida, was recognize, man, the best I'm going to do is like 8 bites.
Right.
And it requires a lot of mental fortitude to go 2 hours without a bite, man.
I bet it does, especially when you room with a guy who's telling you he's getting 30 to 40 bites in practice.
Dude, has Mike ever had a bad day of practice? Dude, God almighty. There's nothing demoralizing than you come in after you suffered all day, you got 3 bites.
I'm good.
And Mike's talking about how many schools of 50 smallmouth he found that are 3 pounds or better.
Right.
It's like
groups.
Good. Yeah, groups. He's figuring out, well, these were only 2.5 pounders. these were 3.5s. You know, I saw some 4s in this school, so it wasn't a bad day. You know, I mean, it's crazy. And congratulations to Mike, man. What a unbelievable his consistency on Lake Oneida. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's just automatic top 10 every single time he goes there, catching a million bass. But I'll be honest, I was tickled to death. Greg, tell me, you among other people say Lake Oneida is a good lake. I don't believe it.
Well, it's definitely a good lake. I mean, you know, for me, it's funny how you said you just caught your fish too, Pete. Because so for me in practice, I saw you every day. You know, I was getting quality bites. They just weren't everywheres. But in practice, obviously drop shotting them. But I was getting a lot on top in practice.
No kidding.
Yeah, on top water. I was waiting for that derby. So the first day of the event was supposed to be like 3 mile an hour. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to crush them. You know, but it blew out of the east like 20.
Did it?
Dude, it was disgusting. So obviously all the stuff I was doing, you know, went to the wayside, and I picked up a punching rig, and that's how I caught them all.
Really?
Yep.
Automatic grass?
I just went and found some milfoil that had some mix of hydrilla, and I just started punching.
No joke.
Yep. So that's how I caught them all in the tournament.
Caught some smallmouth doing that?
All smallmouth. No,
really?
I caught one largemouth that was tiny, but all the rest were smallmouth.
I bet you they'd knock the snot out of
it.
it.
Oh, dude, it was like you hit them, and it didn't even move, and I'm like, oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
It was fun. But, you know, I had no areas. I was putting it together in the tournament trying to figure out where to do more and more of this at, and I just couldn't find the same thing over and over.
I'm with you on that.
You know?
No.
But
same, Greg. Honestly, I found a couple areas that I could get bit in, but I used the strategy of don't take practice out of your tournament. Like, in other words, I just kept practicing, you know. I didn't have enough water or areas that just to hold me. So I just had to keep looking and looking and looking. And I just want to give a shout out to John Soka, because he said that, winner of a couple BF or NPFLs this year. And that's what I kept doing, is just practicing. But the smallmouth it's so awesome flipping for smallmouth in the grass. It's such a cool deal. They're such a powerful animal.
In Champlain doing it. It's fun.
Yep. And Greg Hackney, guys, go watch this. If you fish for smallmouth, you got grass in your lake, Greg Hackney gives a seminar about flipping for smallmouth on BassU TV.
Yep.
It's a must watch if you're ever going to Lake Oneida or lakes like it. But that's what I did. I picked up a 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, and I just locked that flipping stick in my hand, and I had 7 bites on day 1 or 8 bites on day 1. I think I had 6 or 7 on day 2, and I drove as fast and far away from Lake Oneida as I could. Run. No, but that was good. That was a fun time. I enjoyed it, and we got a lot of tournaments coming up, man. We're going to Thousand Islands with the Toyota Series, or Messina, and the Opens are. I haven't fished the big water on Lake Ontario since the 9/11 attacks.
Oh wow!
That's 20 years ago. I couldn't believe it. But I was practicing for an Open on Thousand Islands, and it was the weirdest sensation I ever, all of a sudden there was no boats on the water, no pleasure boats, no bass boats. I was out there seemingly by myself, and it was eerie. And I got in, and the first thing I do is get on my phone and calling to see talk to my people, and I just got messages that were just like crazy, like, oh my God, I can't believe what happened. Call me. This is such terrible. Call me. And nobody told me what had happened. And I just got message after message. But as it turned out, it was the 9/11 attacks, and the tournament got canceled. And, rightfully so. And, that was the last time I was out on Lake Ontario. But since then, the gobies have come, and the bass have gotten absolutely massive. And it looks like they're going to potentially let us fish in Canada.
Be a good tournament.
Could be.
In that
It's going to
tournament.
be good in September. Should be really good.
They're all out.
Hey, Pete, we got a question pertaining to Oneida. This one comes through the message board from Mike I. It says, Pete, what % of your success do you attribute to staying in the house with Ike and Brian Schmidt and John McGraw?
Yeah. Dude,
who's that guy?
Was great. It was the Bass University house, and it was awesome. And the crazy thing is, I did really, really good in the tournament, but I only finished 3rd place in my own house.
Better than last.
Dude, talk about a tough field. The house was the toughest field in the whole tournament.
Hey man,
but
you gotta roll with people that challenge you to be better.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yep.
That's like serious.
Yeah,
serious
no doubt.
Let me give some credit. Like Ike brings the enthusiasm. As hard as it is to hear when his awesome practice days, it's inspiring. It lets you, it drives you and pushes you, and that's awesome. And Brian Schmidt surprised me. Like I knew Brian personally. We've done some interviews with him, but man, he's just pure positivity to be around. And it was great. He helped, like I was kind of not sure about going out and just flipping at Oneida, just throwing everything away. That's what I'm doing. And he helped turn me around and just get me in a really positive state of mind that, Pete, it's been won that way before. It's a pattern that I was looking for and couldn't find. And, just kind of really, motivated me in a positive way. And thanks, Brian. Appreciate that. And, he was great. He was absolutely great. McGraw, too. Our buddy John McGraw, he's been on the Ike Live show. He's terrific. And he's another guy's pure positivity. So that house was just full of positive energy. Man, if you can get that going, man, you're gonna do well. You're going to do your best at every event. So hopefully we can get that group together again.
Well, props to you for another top 15 finish, because you called me cussing Lake Oneida after your practice. So I'm glad you took that positivity and grinded it out, man.
One of the worst practices come in the form of best tournament. Make the best tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did. I called JK whining like a schoolgirl. I was miserable. I mean, nothing was going right. I had to spend a morning at the service cruise getting some stuff done, and this was great. I spent the whole first half of the day waiting in line to get some stuff done, and because I'd been to Champlain for like 2 weeks, I just needed some attention, and I got it. And I'm psyched. Everything's tip top. I'm going out fishing. And then the line of thunderstorms comes. Everybody's coming in. So I'm finally ready to fish. And the whole tournament is putting their boats on the trailer because severe storms are coming through. So, I had to wait those storms. I think that's when I called you, JK. I was like, this is crap. This lake stinks. I just want to go to Champlain or Cayuga.
When that storm came through, I caught 20 pounds like it was nothing.
After?
Yep. Like during, like it was coming in, I was starting on top with her. They're everywhere.
Fighting over it.
Yeah, dude, there was like 2 or 3 every cast.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous.
Well, as it worked out, GDP,
once the
storms
not for me.
Once the storms passed, I put the boat in, and that's where I decided. I found the fish that I decided to fish mostly. As soon as that storm came through, I went out and I'd worked so hard, and I was flipping, and I caught like 2 big smallmouth and a largemouth and shook off a couple in a relatively small time frame. And I'm like, well, this is the best bite I've ever had on Oneida. So, this is where I'm gonna do my deal. But that storm got them activated.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, Pete, you made a decision, because you came in with like 13 pounds on day 1, and you had the 5th or 6th biggest bag of the day 2 on day 2, like almost 16 pounds. And the difference was a decision you made to go do something on day 2 that you hadn't done. And I think that really leads us to, what we're going to talk about the rest of the show. I really want you to talk about what that decision was. And then maybe after that, we can take some IM messages, questions off the IM board. But I really want you to kind of give us that segue there.
Well, I love this topic, and guys listening, decisions are everything. This tournament mostly is between the ears, based on what I've seen after being in it so long. It's all about decisions. And on what happened to me on the second day was I was realizing that the smallmouth started to inhabit the grass and the flats where I was fishing later on in the day. So I had to figure out what to do early. I felt like I wanted to try to get myself around some largemouth. So I started moving a little shallower, concentrating on some denser grass where the smallmouth seemed to be in the little bit less dense grass. And I, I was just real fortunate. I came up on a point, had a high spot and a clump of grass on it. And I caught a 4.11 and a 4.4 in back-to-back casts. And it changed Lake Oneida for me, pretty much forever. But that was a great start. It was a great call because, I continued to practice. I continued to fish water that I didn't, look at the official practice. And that's so key to do that, I think. Keeping, like Mike always calls it, fishing the moment. It's the same thing as fishing the moment. It's like, you're continuing to search, you're continuing to develop and learn more about the body of water. But that decision right there is what helped me have a great finish. And every time I've had a great finish, it comes off the back of some good decisions. And usually, when you do poorly, you're stuck on getting stuck in a rut, making some calls that get you going down the wrong path. But, decision making is tricky in this sport, man. Because one of the things and it's hard to understand, and I know GDP and Caleb get this because they've been living in it, but sometimes you can make a really, really good decision, but it's still not the right decision, or it doesn't turn out to be a good decision. And that's a hard thing about our sport, to chew on, because sometimes you gotta have a feel. Ed Cowan, good friend of all of ours on the show, is, he said bass fishing is as much an art as it is a science. And that's where that comes to. It's almost artistic when you get caught in this rut of making really, really good decisions. That intuition, and it can go the other way too. You can get caught in the slump the exact same way. But decisions are everything, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll put an emphasis on that for you, Pete. So a big player for me this year has been, like, I don't want to take away from it, making decisions, but also having confidence in your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You had you trust in your ability to make that decision, but it doesn't play out for me as an angler. I had to learn that about myself. Is when I started to learn that, dude, you're making the right decisions. Your gut told you to do something. You made a decision. When you make that move, make that adjustment, make that change, fish it. Don't give it a chance, and settle down. And in my early years, I would second guess myself, second guess my decisions, and it held me down from making decisions. So over time, I'm 4 years in now, I'm starting to learn that, my gut tells me to do something. I pull that trigger, I run across the lake and start throwing top water or start doing something totally different. Give it a little while. Something told you to do it. Fish it with confidence, and 9 times out of 10 it works out. And if it don't, you tried. You dug yourself out of a rut of sticking with something that wasn't working. You made a change, made a decision to go do something else or take a different approach. So confidence with those decisions is just as important. I wanted to add that because that's been a big player for me.
That's awesome.
Agreed. It's funny because Jordan Lee does that commercial you see played on the the elites all the time, or where you make
just fish.
Yep.
Don't look back.
That's right.
Don't second guess. I forget what he says in that commercial, but I'm like, man, that's it. When you make that call, whatever it is, you got to be all in.
That's right.
You can't second guess. Well, maybe I should go back, or maybe I should have done this, or and next thing you're running around like crazy, and you wind up nowhere.
That's right.
Make that call and go all in. Great stuff, Caleb.
Yep, for sure.
I agree. And then thanks to Brian again, because he helped me make my decision at Oneida. Because I was struggling with confidence, and can I really get the bites? Can I get that? I know it's going to be hard. Can I get 5 flipping bites in a day? And I needed a little, and you never know where the help's going to come from. Sometimes it comes from a family member. Sometimes it comes from, one of your competitors or one of the co-anglers, but something gives you that little bump, that little jolt of confidence that takes you to the next level. So, but confidence is king, JK.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's awesome. Go ahead to what you got, Brian?
Say what?
What do you have?
I thought you were cutting in there. We got anything from the message board? I know we've been keeping those guys quiet. I know Riz might have a few by now.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. The first question that I'm going to go with here is actually going to be from Jared Dyer. He's going to win himself a $25 Gills Gear gift card for this question. And he wants to know, why is it that sometimes the worst practices can turn into the best tournaments? What causes that?
Who wants to go first?
It don't matter. I can go.
Get it.
I think the reason that is because, man, whatever you did in practice a lot of times, you already weaved all the bad out. So you make a different decision the next day in the tournament, whatever it is, and, man, it's the right decision.
Exactly.
And it clicks, and then you just put it all together from there.
You got all the suck out of the way.
Correct.
Yeah. I like that.
You burned the bad.
I like to think of it as, when you do have a great practice, it's easier. I'm not saying you do it every time, but for me, I get stuck in a rut. My confidence is through the roof when I show up till night. I start catching them on a frog, and I'm just throwing that out there. And I get 30 bites a day for 3 days. Boom, weather changes. I still want to throw the frog because my confidence is through the roof. So I feel like when you have that bad practice, we actually talked about this on Act Live the other night. When you have that bad practice, you have an open mind. You got a clean slate. You're still trying to figure it out. And if you do figure it out, it's during the tournament, and you're putting them in the box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you get to stick all of them.
You get to stick all of them. So it's that clean slate entering into the tournament.
I would say so too. At our level, if you watch any of the guys that have a bad day one, generally 9 times out of 10, day 2 is big for them.
Yep.
It's because they make that adjustment.
Yep, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean it's
How many practice days we've had where I tend to do this a lot. I'm a type of guy where I don't have any real preconceived notions when I enter practice. I know about the areas that I want to break down, but I don't have a 20 waypoint game plan in practice. But, dude, you just show up in practice, and it's like you catch them, and it's like, gosh, this place is going to be a slugfest.
Yep.
Then it'll get tougher, but it's like, man, I just showed up and tried something, and I made it work for a little while. There's no reason you can't do that in the tournament. So, yeah, dude, just keeping that clean slate and attacking that body of water constantly.
Especially for a multi-day tournament scenario. I mean, you have to fish that way. Anybody that's won, has won on stuff they never fished probably.
Exactly.
Yep. It's real-time information, man. I like that. It's like what you're finding out is real-time when that's happening. But here's one of the biggest mental hurdles to overcome after having a good practice. This is hard. You 2 days before the tournament starts, you got them dialed. And in particular, if you have a spot and you show up there on Derby Day and it's crickets, it's like, it's all gone, right? And that is the hardest thing in the world to overcome. And I think that's why good practices can bury guys.
Yeah, totally.
Because
hard to adjust.
You got to get over the emotional letdown, number one.
Yeah.
Because all night you were dreaming about, well, am I going to cull 4-pounders or am I going to leave?
and
right.
and you show up and it's just nothing. The bait's gone, the bass are gone. Where'd they move to? Is it a bait adjustment? So you start going down this horrible process that's impossible to overcome. So yeah, crummy practice eliminates that, right? So you're going out with optimism. You're going out looking, trying something new. What you did didn't work. So, you're looking for new opportunities. And man, and you're finding the information in real time. Like you said, the bites that you get today are magic, and they're going to steer you in a direction of the developing pattern that we talk about a lot at BassU. What's moving forward, what's happening now. So I think that's a lot to do with it. And
I think another good point too is you tend to fall back on your confidence, your strong suits. You tend to fall back on the flipping. Like I know I'm going to go for 6 or 7 bites flipping today. Guess what, Bubba? I know I'm not going to pick up a topwater and catch 100, so flipping it is. And you fall back into that grinding mindset of, I'm going to stick with my confidence, and you roll with that, and you tend to do good. So that helps. That's another side of that coin, I think, too.
I agree. Yeah, great point. Great point, Caleb. Riz, what else you got?
Yeah, Pete. Also coming in on the message board from our guys.
Also, Pete.
Yeah, AP. Also, Pete. Mike O wants to know: do you guys always use the same bait that you found while fishing in practice? Like, if you're catching fish in practice or shaking fish in practice, do you go back down those same areas with the exact same bait, or do you make small adjustments to your bait presentation on tournament day?
I most definitely do. If I get bit on it in practice, it's going to be one that I'm starting with in the tournament. I'll let water clarity, if the water clarity changed, or I talked about clouds and sky contrast a lot today. Determine if I'm going to make a change to a white chatterbait versus a black and blue chatterbait or a green pumpkin chatterbait. But if I got bit in practice, typically on a green pumpkin chatterbait, I'm going to start off with a green pumpkin chatterbait.
Here's an example. What if as you're going down, you're fishing in practice, it's sunny and you're getting bit on a white chatterbait.
Right.
You get out first morning of the tournament, but it's overcast and raining.
Rolling waves through there. I'm gonna pick up a spinnerbait. I'm gonna adjust to fish the conditions, but no, I know that the fish probably is still there. I'm gonna fish for those fish that are still in that area.
Right.
That I'll adjust my bait to the conditions is kind of how I like to approach it.
I think for flipping, and punching and stuff, I think you can keep it pretty simple.
I think you can too.
You can go black, blues, green pumpkins, and variations between like
profiles.
Yeah, profiles or green pumpkin, dotted tips, chartreuse.
Yep.
Just mix it up tiny. You don't have to do a lot. It's either one or the other.
Right.
Most of the time, I would say, right?
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Totally.
So normally, and like you said, maybe you can change variations between the actual same bait in different sizes.
Right.
You can go to for him it'd be a D-bomb or baby D-bomb. You
That's
can
right.
make a difference. But I think it's pretty simple for the most part. Or they could just move it or not there, and you got to start over again.
You got to start over. You got to get back in the search mode.
Yep.
Well, I can tell you, I look at the weather patterns, and I try to anticipate change because I try to avoid the pitfall of that devastation that, oh man, they're not hitting the jig anymore, So you try to take yourself through that cycle of, okay, well, it's cloudy at practice, they're biting a jig, maybe they'll bite a stick bait, so I'll rig that. God forbid I'll rig a drop shot too. And you're prepared to cycle through in case something changes. Fishing pressure is a big one.
Yes.
Because especially like Oneida is one, man, those fish are really susceptible to fishing pressure, and they'll change. They'll change from being aggressive to really having to beg them to bite. So, to answer your question, Miko, I'll come rolling just like Caleb does with the baits that I caught him at practice. But I guarantee you, I'll have on the deck like 2 or 3 adjustments.
Yes,
ready to roll, if need be. But great question.
I got to follow up to that.
Riz?
I got to follow up to that, guys. This is for everybody here. So, for example, I would imagine Oneida is a lot similar weather pattern wise as Champlain is, where you have everything in the same day. You know what I mean? It's dead flat and calm. It's overcast. It's cloudy. There's thunder, snow.
Weather brews there.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything happens in the same day.
Summertime thunder, snow.
Yeah. So do you constantly adjust as that weather changes on the hour?
For smallmouth, I would say 110%. You have to. Definitely. Largemouth are a little bit easier.
Right. And we'll talk about adjustments in color I mean, obviously, baits and things like that going to affect whether you're throwing top water or the godforsaken drop shot, Pete's drop shot.
I would let me just tap on this real quick. So with largemouth, generally when the sun gets higher, the flipping bite gets better.
That's right.
When the sun gets higher and it calms out, the smallmouth top water bite gets better.
Right.
So you got to be willing to just literally drop one of them rods and pick up something totally different on the spectrum.
Right. Totally.
Because I mean that's literally going to separate you 9 times out of 10 at least.
One big one, 2 big ones.
Yes.
You might figure out the deal.
Yep.
Fish out your rest of your tournament on that new deal.
Yep. And I think what we're kind of getting at here is people are getting, and even us too, we get stuck in our ways so many times from what we saw an hour ago, and if we would have picked it up 10 minutes before we thought about doing it, it would have really changed our day. So you just, I know it's hard. You just can't get stuck in your ways, and we all still do it, every one of us. But whoever can adjust the fastest usually comes out on top.
I'll give you the perfect case scenario. I talked about it today, a little while on the boat. Gunnersville this year.
Mm-hmm.
In practice, we had 3 days of overcast, clouds, and a little bit of wind. But it was just gloomy days.
Mm-hmm.
3 straight days of just gloomy days, it felt like, in practice. And I was getting 30 to 40 open water frog bites a day. I'm talking literally just shaking them off, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's going to be a repeat of 2018 or 19 when I finished 4th punching. But I wasn't getting many punching bites, but the conditions didn't set up for the punching mats. But I was throwing the frog on the edge of the mats and still getting the fish to blow up. They were around the mats. Day 1 of the tournament, I knew the areas that had fish. But the weather had completely 180 to bluebird skies, almost a front passed through with 20 miles an hour wind out the north and just clear bluebird sky, not frogging conditions. And then the first 3 or 4 fish that I have hit my frog, they don't even get it. I had one blow up that far behind it. So when you're frog fishing that if it's like gone, you're throwing the right thing. But if they don't want it, they're not on it.
Yep.
So and this was a learning lesson for me. I was so dialed into that bite that I stuck with it. Dude, at noon, I had 1 fish. I saw you that day. You come through that bridge, and I told you said, how'd you got it?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I had just caught, I made an adjustment, started flipping, and just got a donk, like 7.5 pounder. Completely turned my tournament around, but I hadn't flipped much that day at all. But I was forcing that frog deal so bad. And finally, it took to about noon, picked up the flipping stick, caught a 7.5, caught 2 more 2.5 pounders, and only weighed in 4 that day, which hurt me. Ended up costing me a cut. I tied for the cut line.
You were the first guy out, weren't you?
First guy out due to a tiebreaker.
Oh my goodness.
So this is a good question because it still happens to the best of us, dude. It really does. You get when you have that good practice, I knew where the fish were. I knew the area. I knew where they were. I just didn't make the correct adjustment to catch them. And I paid for it. An ultimate important lesson learned.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, BTC, I love that question because I think there's room for both. And you kind of got to know. And I don't mean both like what the Caleb scenario, but I hear that smallmouth, largemouth thing. I fished up in Oneida before, but like I'm a fish the moment guy, right? Co-angler, co-angler, so much co-angler experience has allowed me to not be scared to put something down immediately that I just wrecked 15 pounds on because a condition change. Like I am not scared to do that, but other guys are wired differently. But I love it because, Pete's in a big tournament, dude. I don't think you laid that flipping stick down much at all, even with maybe some changing conditions and stuff. But it was the math, right? It was the quality of bites that you were going after, and you didn't even as a matter of fact, I don't think you identified any horizontal presentations at all that you were getting bit on at all.
No, I didn't, but I can tell you this: during the tournament, as the weather changed, as we got the what did you call it? Sun snow, BTC or
thunder snow?
Thunder snow. we got the thunder snow. I did, man. I had all types of baits that I would cycle through, and but I just I would cycle through quick and put them down and get back to it. But I constantly, when that weather changes, and GDP, you're right. With largemouth, it's not as dramatic. With smallmouth, oh my God, it's like, man, when weather changes, there is a change in the bite.
Yep.
It's going to happen, guaranteed. They'll go from a drop shot to a jerk bait to a swim bait to a top water and back again in like inside of an hour. I mean, it happens so fast. So you have to cycle through, and you got to recognize that's number one. BTC is recognize. Wait a minute, it was 5 miles an hour. Now it's 12. It's blowing.
Yeah.
There's something, and they're not hitting the drop shot anymore. They're not hitting that bait. They are suspended. They've changed, and you got to make that change. The same way when it goes reverse, like when it goes from windy to calm, or the sun pops out from a cloudy day. You got to recognize that, especially on those brown fish. But the green fish are the same, but they're just a little bit more durable, a little bit more dependable on the bites you get from them. But the change needs to be made there too, no doubt about it.
Pete, they're always hitting the drop shot, but sort of along these lines, and I'd like to hear Caleb and Greg's opinion on this. We had a local guy in studio just not too long ago, Bob Soley. And Greg, you know Bob.
Yep.
Caleb, I'm sure you don't, but Bob's old school dude. He's fished the Classic a few times. He's pretty legit. And he made a comment about we were talking grass fishing, and his comment was color is more important in grass than pretty much anything else. Like individual fishing, individual isolated targets where color, isn't as important. I just wondered if you guys had an opinion on that.
Tune into Bass University. Today's episode once it's edited.
What?
How about that, buddy?
Okay.
Subscribe, guys.
Subscribe now.
All right, so you guys got into that.
We got into that deep.
So you have an opinion on that?
I have a very strong opinion.
Right on. Okay.
But it's a simple opinion. I'll give you that.
Okay.
It's normally black and blue or green pumpkin around grass for me, bro.
Yeah.
And on the oddball chances there's a shad spot going on, it's going to be white.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't get hidden. I don't get tied into flake. I don't get tied into. I don't like it. So I do have a funny story. So I got a bite today on black and blue. Black and blue D-bomb had one. I pulled up the pack for me. That was way brighter than the other. It was a different color D-bomb. It's like, whoop, that's way too bright. Didn't like that contrast different. I wanted that bruiser flash, that half black, half blue.
Yeah.
This one was almost a sapphire blue D-bomb. So I'm picky when it comes to stuff like that, but keep it simple, dude. Black, blue, green pumpkin, and white.
I think what from what I can gather from the Solely thing, I think where there's been times in clean water where black blue has been really good for me because if you ever notice where sometimes you'll get in a certain body of water, especially up north, man, the bluegill or they're super dark and they're blue.
Right.
And I think that this is where these scenarios come in. It all comes into the gamut of paying attention to what your surroundings are too, like what you're seeing. A lot of times when you're in grass and you're flipping, a lot of times the water's clean, it's clear.
Exactly.
It's filtered out, so you can see the bait that's around. And green pumpkin or black blue usually matches almost everything out there.
Everything.
So they're like I said, I think most guys are going to agree they're the colors.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, we can kind of speak to this like firsthand, and we talked about this a few weeks ago about on the bay how. For the last couple of years, we've had one color in the stupid Senko worm that has absolutely dominated.
What color was that?
I don't know what it's called, but it's like
Rainbow swirl.
It's like a green pumpkin and like a light blue laminate. But it's been a good color for the last few years. But this year, for whatever reason, it just flat out it did not put them out like it did the last couple of years. And there was little adjustments. Pete made an adjustment with, using a worm that had a chartreuse tip on the tail. And it
put you out there, Pete.
and it made all the difference in the
I
world.
believe
For me, it was using a worm that had a lot more pronounced colors in the flakes, like real dark flakes and purple and greens that you could really see a lot more. But it was unique that for the last 2-3 years, this one color, like if you're buying a bag of Senkos, you're buying this color,
Right.
But for weeks and weeks and weeks, where it didn't work this year. It just there was other colors that were without a doubt a better way to consistently get bit, and it just kind of it's like, did the fish get used to it?
I actually know the answer to this.
I do too.
It's me. So anytime, and this goes way back. This goes back 25, 30 years. Anytime I load up on a color bait, that's it. That's the last fish I caught on it.
No doubt. So
every time
you're talking about a slower presentation,
exactly
correct?
Yeah.
We're talking about we're coming in and we're knocking our heads
Like that.
out.
Right.
It's a split second.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yep.
So when he exactly what Greg's talking about, you're talking about something just kind of shimmying down. That fish got time to get up there and look at it.
Yep.
Flakes got play and
sure.
stuff like that. Flake and half laminate colors will come into play when you start doing that. You're entering a whole new presentation spectrum.
Right. Absolutely.
But like he's saying, when I'm punching, that bait's literally. That's exactly what that bait just did. 2 foot of water.
Yep.
Yeah.
That fish should literally just grab
So
it.
it's more for when you're in that react presentation. It's more of the shade of the bait. A black and blue
contrast.
Silhouette,
It has different contrast than a green pumpkin or a white. And those little flecks in there aren't really going to make a difference when the bait's falling 100 miles an hour to the bottom. So
I do dip the tail when I'm around spawning bluegill.
Right.
And if I see them bluegill and they got a little bright tail, that's the only crazy thing I do.
Match that.
And that's why I think dipping tails works so darn good for that same scenario too, for sure.
Yeah.
So Pete,
It's so interesting because-
your dyed tail's about to be over. The fight's done.
Everybody bought it all.
Yeah. They're not spawning.
Well, listening to Lee and Caleb, the simplicity, and you hear this a lot, and I think the color selections that you guys use are so simplistic because you have to be able to make stuff work at every different kind of lake, every different watercolor, and you got to have that ability to make small adjustments.
Yep.
If you get too involved in that 15 different color palettes, when you go to a different kind of water, different color, different kind of grass, oh my gosh, how are you ever going to break it down?
Yeah.
You got to simplify your color choices.
That's right.
And you definitely do it, Caleb. You're just a simple color choices, whether you're flipping a jig on a dock or whether you're flipping in the grass.
Drinks one kind of beer.
Michelob, I'm sure.
Very, very
Got
simple.
off today. We're rehydrating today.
What time did you guys go to bed the other night from shark fishing?
Bed?
We did not.
Oh, I saw
bed. We rolled in
6 a.m.
7 a.m.
Yeah.
I got up and I counted the hours back to your story, and I'm like, Brian just posted this right before I got up. I'm like, he not going to sleep?
I had to drive the boys home.
We talked about the shark fishing trip more on Ike Live than we did probably fishing and topics.
Yeah, more than Lee's momentous 40
pound bag
on
top water. We didn't talk about that. We're talking about catching sharks and getting stung by stingrays.
That's funny.
Good job following that itinerary, boss.
Yeah, well, hey.
Yeah, well, hey.
I got a question real quick. Riz, do you have a new girlfriend or something? Because I pulled in the parking lot today. Were you talking to her?
No.
Dude, you were in some different world. I was like, all right, Riz, bye. I just kept on going to the next guy.
I was talking to Ike.
Oh, Jesus. That makes sense, the boss.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Riz.
Okay. All right.
I had to ask.
You do? You don't? Anyway. Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah,
happy
thanks,
birthday,
guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
Riz B31.
I got a series of questions to continue on this topic. A lot of them are commonly asked questions at our Q&A sessions, and they provide for just a deeper dive, not even just deeper, they're just right in line with this topic that we're on. And I want to start throwing them to you guys. Brian, are we ready for this, or is that cool, or do we got something else that we need to be hitting?
Yeah. I mean, commercial break or something?
Yeah, something like
You know
that.
what,
I don't
dude?
know.
Let's just end the night with that. Let's rock on. Keep going, buddy.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Party on, Wayne.
End the night.
Well, no, we'll just we'll keep going
Yeah.
and we'll close out to the commercial spot.
Okay.
Cool.
Got you now.
All right. So, all right, guys. We've touched on it a little bit, but I want to know how much of your practice, how much, in what ways too, but how much of your practice goes into your tournament strategy in these multi-day events, specifically, like not just where you're starting, but where you might plan, how much weight do you give practice? I know guys vary a lot, so I want to hear it.
I need more of the question. I'm a little bit confused on what you're asking. I don't know about Caleb got it, but
how much
are you asking how much does practice play into our tournaments?
Exactly.
Not
how much
necessarily finding fish, but I think I got it. So, of course, practice is everything because a lot of these, for the last 4 years I've been fishing, I haven't been to a lot of these bodies of water. Yeah, we've been to a couple places a few times, but I haven't even experienced this many type of fisheries that we've ever been to. Smallmouth, I'm from South Louisiana. So a lot of times some of the best practice I'm getting is for the 3 days that we're leading up to our multi-day event. And my mindset entering in practice is it depends on the body of water. I don't know how to explain it. Obviously, if it's an overwhelming size body of water, I try not to look at the entire lake because I know I'm not going to be able to run the entire lake in the tournament. So I really try to focus on areas that'll fit my styles or areas that kind of fit into the game plan of whatever I get going. And I'll try to find more in that area. You have to maximize your fishing time. So I know if my best area is 20 miles from the ramp, and I find that out maybe on the first day, I might say play into my practice to practice in stuff in between there and the ramp to where I know if that main area doesn't work, I can kind of put a milk run together going back towards check-in. I'm not extending my day, and I know there's plenty of fish in between there. So that's kind of the main approach that I had this year in practicing was looking at as much in the areas that I did get bit in or the main areas that I did. I'm trying to explain this right. Is the main areas I did have found, capitalize on those areas towards the ramp and maximize my time with a bait in the water. That has been huge. I don't know if I hit that right for you, but that's kind of what I took from your question.
Yeah, it's basically I wanted to know how you create your tournament plans with your practice.
Okay, okay.
Because some guys, they might just try to get a read on what the fish are biting and then just fish the cover they find. But you have a very distinct strategy on proximity to your area, or not even a proximity, but the route back to where you have to be.
That's my end goal in the back of my mind is I don't, if I have an hour to check in, I don't want to run 30 minutes the opposite way to hit a spot for 10 minutes and have to run all the way back to the ramp. It's being efficient on the water, essentially. Keeping a bait wet is my end goal in the back of my mind.
That's definitely key. And like on the tough events, that's like that's like everything. One thing that I'm seeing, fishing these 3 years is like these bodies of water like are so big. There's always seems to be a certain section, that like your top 20 will be in.
Yep.
And if you can, I've been trying to find them certain sections every tournament, which, like you said, it's so hard because you've never been to these places and you're trying to figure it out. You watch on YouTube what the guys were at, and a lot of times you go back, it's never the same area twice. For me, I always try to. There's been times in practice, in a 3-day practice, where like I'll find something. And like I'll go look for more and more and more, and then I'll go back to that same area and try to expand again on the same area. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But like it always seems like if you can find that juicier area where the fish are a little bit fatter, just something like that. For me, it has played out good and bad sometimes, but it's hard.
I get what you're saying.
Every body of water we go to across the country is different. So to try to put it together in 2.5, 3 days is like
it's tough.
It's super tough.
But then again, I feel like I do better with a shorter practice. You know, it goes back to that same clean slate mindset.
Yep. How many days have you went out day one in practice? You're like, oh my God, I wish the tournament start tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know, because you find it, you figure out what's going on right then, you know, for that day or two, whatever it is.
And it gets tough, and then you put something together come the tournament. Yeah.
Yep. It's a hard question.
It's a hard question to answer right. Yeah. I think you're gonna get a lot of. That's a good question. I think
it is.
I think it'd be interesting to hear a lot of different responses to a question like that between all the anglers, because I guarantee you're gonna get a different. Like mind. You're asking the angler's mindset is basically what you're asking, and it's a really good question. I like.
Yeah,
it.
I think Ike would run 100 miles to hit one spot, and I think Hackney would just lock down in a spot and grind every fish out of there.
That's exactly what you would get.
You know.
Yeah.
I want to react to that question, JK, because I want to liken it to Caleb's response about the mats and GDPs too, like the noise in the mats, right? It lets you know that there was life there.
That's right.
And that, man, finding that at practice, even if you haven't figured out the right bait yet, or whether it's going to be a frog or flip and bite, or whether they're going to move to the outside edges, the fact that you found the biomass, you know, that big abundance of food. There's birds, there's life. Man, that's a huge thing to determine at practice, because that's gonna allow you to put yourself in harm's way. You know, you're gonna be fishing around where the big ones are likely going to be. And I can tell you on Champlain, it's an interesting example, because I fished on the New York side one day of practice for the Toyota series, and I caught fish, but it was just challenging. It was there was no birds, there was no cormorants, you know, in areas where I normally would see them, and the bait fish balls, it just nothing. Then you move over to the Vermont side, and you have these massive flocks of seagulls. You have, you know, white and yellow perch just going crazy. And you're like, whoa, I've got night and day. I've got an area that I could probably get 5, but it's going to be hard, versus an area where, oh my gosh, you know, maybe I can go for 5 big ones if I can figure it out, you know? So where there's fish, is kind of a, you know, thing I say sometimes, but you know, and that's, you know, if you can find something like that at practice, that's great. But there's other times where, like at Oneida, where, man, you didn't find them. You didn't find the mega schools that Ike found, and you have to commit to something that's your strength. You got to learn. You got to know when to do that. You know, when to punt. In essence, like, okay, I'm not going to be fishing the dominant pattern, but I'm going to be fishing to my strengths and making a decision to do that. You know, so practice is key. You know, but you gotta, you know, it's really not about finding X marks the spot, because the fish will not continue to do the same thing for very long. You're going to have to make the adjustments. But, you know, those are the things that I look for at practice. And I just want to say a couple things, because I'm going to have to check out, guys. But Caleb, thanks for making the trip. I appreciate it, buddy. It was great being out on the boat with you today. And GDP,
thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. I had a blast.
It's awesome to have you part of the BassU family. GDP, thanks for being in studio. You know, BTC, thanks. JK, thanks. And happy birthday, Riz.
Thanks, Pete.
And
thanks, Pete.
Right on. You guys have a great night. I will catch up with all of you guys real soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Pete.
Night, Pete.
You know,
next
really
week.
Had to jump on that train.
Jumping on Anthony real quick.
He's all quiet. Sorry, Justin.
I'm trying to listen to JK.
Yeah, sure you are.
We're doing a podcast.
We're supposed to be talking bass fishing, guys.
Bass fishing.
If you're still with us on the later version of the people listening on iTunes, you know, 2 months from now, I appreciate it. And I'm just going to build on Pete's answer real quick. All of you guys had amazing answers. I love the strategies. I love how everybody's different, because you found your way to be successful. I think every tournament bass angler is trying to find their way to translate practice, to translate results in the tournament time. But like to the BFL guys, and well, I shouldn't say that because most all these guys I'm fishing against are practicing every freaking day of the week, But like the guys like me who only like practice one day, and me and my team partner have done this a lot with, where he might just practice one day ahead of a team tournament, or it's the Pete strategy. It's more time.
Sleep in, wake up late.
Yeah, it's more time observing. It's more time driving around and looking, and less time worried about what bait they're going to eat. And I'm that way, and a lot of guys maybe don't like that, but I would rather. I don't want to say it, but like, shad spawn tournament, right? That's going to go down in an hour. You might have 30 minutes because of the way they blast this off so late a lot of times as a bass angler. My practice is not trying to figure out if they're going to eat a freaking spinnerbait or a chatterbait the morning of the tournament, the morning of the tournament. Who cares? Like this is a opportunistic, for not just a bass being opportunistic, but a bass angler being opportunistic. I'm going to drive my bass cat around at like 50 or 60, and I'm going to look. And I cover as much water as I can for the first hour or two rather than fishing, because I know that section of the day, I want to be where that best shad spawn stretches. And you got to experience it. Like I know, Riz, you've probably never seen one. But like once you start to get those experiences, you start to understand what you're looking for, and it can afford you that opportunity to where, okay, I know this place over here, this place over here, and I got 3 over here. I can hit these 3. That's where I'm going, And there's got to be a lot of moments like that for you guys out on tour.
Totally.
But next question: how long do you stay on a spot before you leave it, or stick with a pattern before you decide it's time to change?
Go ahead.
I mean,
do you have a method?
Every scenario is different. It's such a hard answer again, because if you feel in your gut it's dying, it's leaving, then more times than not, that's probably a good indicator that you gotta pack up and go.
That's right.
But there has been times, and when you're talking punching, there's a lot of times where like you said, you commit. You're gonna get them 5, 6, 7 bites in 8 hours. That's not many bites.
That's not.
But I take punching and I put it in a whole different category, because to me that's a committing scenario.
That's right.
But that's the one case where I would say that's where you got to lock down. That's where you got to lock that thing in your hand and go. But if you're like on a crank and bite, if you're on a ledge tournament, it doesn't get much easier because electronics are so good today.
You can tell if you're not around fish.
Yeah, if they're not there, you don't see them. For the most part. But patterns that are dying in front of your face. Like I said, if it starts to feel funny, that's usually when I bounce.
Yeah, like today, in light to the punching deal, we knew we were targeting at hard edges, and once that grass started to break up and the trolling motor was touching and making more disturbance, then I was fishing the right type of grass. I knew it was time to make a move.
Yep.
So I was letting the cover determine where I needed to be when, or just the moves that we needed to make. And, of course, that goes into, like, exactly what Greg said, where I knew it wasn't going to be a technique where we were going to light the world on fire and catch 40 fish, but I knew we had to be on the right equation. We had to be on the right stuff. We had to be on the right grass, and that's what we did. So every time we got out around the stuff started to break up, we just made a quick move, go hit another hard edge, and
I think a lot of this you can just what he's doing, you can play it in your head, because like he knows what he's looking for. He burnt down one stretch, caught 2, 3 fish, real good. Man, if I could find this again, I can duplicate it.
Exactly.
But if you're in a scenario where you're doing something completely different, that's where you got to kind of take it in, and you got to swallow it and just be like, okay, I need to make a change here. I got to make a move. It's very hard to do. We talked about it all night long. It's like the hardest thing to do, whether it's a bait, it's the pattern, it's the weather, anything. Dude, this fishing stuff is hard, but if you can put yourself in a little bit better percentile of what you should be doing, you will come out on top a lot more.
Yep. I mean, this goes hand in hand with what we were talking about Gunnersville. The mistake that I made, the lesson that I've learned with the frog is I got so keyed in on it that I was hung on it for days.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just a knowing when to give up on it on any point in the day. I got hung up on it bad for a half a day, and it burnt me. And, you know, I tried different areas, but every time when I bent down, I picked up that frog. You know, and it finally clicked like, okay, dingbat, you probably need to put the frog down.
Yeah.
And then, you know, salvaged my tournament. But
probably a good way to put it, if you're trying to force the bite,
you cannot force
that's
it.
when it's time to move.
Great.
That's when it's time to
That's a
change.
great way to answer it.
Yep.
You cannot force it.
You can't force it.
Great way
Yeah,
to
that's good stuff. And, you know, I pull a couple things from BassU TV lessons in the past. This one pertains to the tournament fishing. I think Ike used to talk about a 1 hour rule a lot. Like that's just, you know, what he gave himself. And I don't know if he's still operating like that or not, but he would give himself an hour when he was on a like groups of fish, you know, where he knew there were, you know, a lot of fish in an area or like a school and they're there, but they're not biting. He'd give them about an hour, you know, if they were his starting fish before moving on. Brian Thrift had a practice strategy tidbit where 15-minute rule. Now he practices fast and stuff, but like if he got in an area and didn't get bit in 15 minutes, it's not going down and he moves on.
You're looking,
you know,
he's looking for areas that's going down.
Yeah, it's just looking for stuff where it's going down. And that's practice. And, you know, just a couple things to drop. I'm loving these answers. And I know some of these questions are hard to unpack, but I just think that's why they're the most commonly asked questions by a lot of our webinars. And they always come in the Q&A sections. And you get so many different answers.
That's right.
But they're all helpful, you know, because Caleb's viewpoint and experience is different than GDP's and so on. So I'm loving your answers right now. I'm going to ask one more, and then I've got a couple more, but then we might go back to the IM board after this one. So, guys, when you are under the pressure and you need a fish the most, power versus finesse, which do you pick up? Are you a finesse guy? Are you going to grind out? You know, do you lean towards the spinning rod and grinding it out, or do you pick up the pace and grab the bait caster and try to, you know, get an active fish? Which type of guy are you? And maybe you have some experiences to go off of that.
I can
when
start
the
it out
pressure's
by
on.
saying we're both probably going to tell you it's going to be dependent on the lake we're on.
For sure. But let's just say
All
a
right.
perfect scenario.
Perfect scenario. I'll keep it simple. Well, no, I'm not going to. I was going to say keep it simple and say, well, let's talk about smallmouth and largemouth, but let's not do that. Let's talk about just fishing. Trying to catch that fifth fish. 9 times out of 10, I have bait catchers on my deck. Unless I'm fishing for smallmouth, I might have one wacky worm out. Wacky worm is kind of hard not to get bit on.
Yeah, it's one of the by far the best 12-inch fish catcher in the
country,
it's,
in the world.
It's Pete's favorite bait, right?
20, yeah, I mean,
He loves the Senko. I don't know about the wacky, but he loves the Senko.
It goes,
I got to go with that.
It's pizza, and then it's Senko.
Pizza's first.
Sleep, pizza, Senko.
Sleep are way up there.
Sleep in there right now.
So
love you, Pete.
I think the best thing to do in a tough scenario if you need that fish is always go what you know.
That's right.
Always fish your strength if it's available.
That's right.
Besides that, me personally, I'm going to pick up a 5-inch wacky worm, and I'm going to get it a bank.
That's it.
That's, you know, whether it's dock fishing, if it's grass that's out there, that's the best way that I know how to catch a limit or a fish.
That's right.
You know, and it works anywhere as I've been. Yes,
Great
Brian
answer.
Osenko.
Riz, let's go to the IM. You got anything?
Yeah, I do, and I'm actually going to kind of backtrack just a little bit with this. It's going to go back to the mats and
I thought you were going back to the pizza and the
fishing around mats.
Sorry.
It's just too good of a question for me to not bring it back in. This is going to come from Matt Gowdy, and he wants to know: do you guys find that fish move in and out of the mats and the cheese based on tide cycles on a tidal body of water, or do they tend to stick around in those mats throughout the tides?
Depends on how much water is under the mats. If you have a low tide, and I feel like those mats on the lowest tide, if the mat still has anything over a foot of water, it could hold fish. Could. But they will most definitely move further back and in towards the edges as the tide falls. Is my experience with tidal fisheries.
Yeah, water goes up, fish go up.
That's exactly
Underneath
right.
the mat, it's the same scenario. If the tide gets high, they'll go shallower deeper into the mat.
That's right.
You know,
They might not move, horizontally, or they just might, move up and down, like
Yep.
Greg's saying.
Yep.
That's what they're going to do. We had some fish bite today that really were just sitting under the mat.
Yep.
And then as the day went on, they thumped it a little bit deeper. They
Yep.
were kind of moving up and down type of thing. But I most definitely think if they have the right environment with enough water, they're not leaving it.
yeah, I agree with that 100%, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Caleb was saying too about once you find that magic mat, it doesn't seem to matter what it's doing.
Nope.
Like that's where they live.
That's
So in a tidal scenario, like he's saying, same deal, dude. I flipped in mats before, and it's like there's no water, and all of a sudden it's got it. I'm like, really? And they're there, and it seems like on a tidal body of water, they'll live shallower than anywhere else. Normally, it seems like them fish just live shallow in general. So, with the tidal thing, man, I don't think you could rule anything out on tidal systems, especially if there's like a deep water access too, like a ditch that runs through the mat.
Absolutely not.
They can just live in there the entire tide cycle.
Yep.
Riz, did we give away a prize on that one?
Yeah, that's going to be a Gills Gear gift card there for our man Matt Gowdy.
Nice. All right, so guys, I got another one. This one I talked to Pete a lot. Pete's probably talked about this on the show, and it's like, do you know your own winning ways? Do you know your stats, basically? He started writing it down and realized he is when he gets on a flipping bite, he's getting a lot of top finishes, and we're seeing that with his little run he's on lately, and he's started to seek that out in tournaments, even if that wasn't, what normally is the dominant pattern that time of year for that lake. He'd still look for it because he knew if he got on it, that a lot of times good things happen for him. Do you guys do that at all? Do you have techniques or anything that you like, that's your ace in the hole? It's tied on everywhere you go in the country and you at least look for it?
Go ahead.
I mean,
I got an interesting answer to this one.
Yeah, so yes and no. The old Greg, yes, I used to this is how I fished, and that's all I'm doing all day long, and I want a lot of, local stuff doing it that way. But as I'm fishing the elites, dude, me personally, it's like, I don't want this to sound bad, but I tried to I forced myself to basically take every single technique that's out there and really try to apply it according to the scenario I'm faced, the lake that I'm going to, all that good stuff. And I think that's the way, honestly, nowadays you have to be that fisherman.
Have to.
At our level, whether even with electronics, the whole thing as one. So, no, I don't stick myself in a certain category. I think I'm well-rounded with a lot of the techniques, and I'm sure Caleb is the same way. Obviously, seventh place in the points, he's doing something right. So I think locally you can get yourself stuck in a scenario and keep winning consistently locally. But once you want to step it up and get to the BFL level, go to the Opens level, you have to start applying every single technique that you possibly can if you want to excel.
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth.
That's
it. Straight up. My number one go-to technique is punching. I will lock that thing in my hand and never think twice. If I'm in the right cover about picking up another thing, dude, I'll dig myself into a rut, almost like I did with the frog. But I want to win a tournament on smallmouth, drop shot in 40 foot of water. I want to be known as the Louisiana angler that went do that. I want to be well-rounded. I keep every avenue open. I'm constantly trying to learn new techniques, new ways to catch them, and I'm intrigued by stuff that I don't know. So I'm constantly trying to put stuff in my arsenal. Like Greg's saying, we have to be able to
go catch him on a spy bait on forward-facing sonar, and we have to be able to do that. It's nothing I'm doing in Louisiana to practice that, so I got to learn it quick when I am able to do it.
Yep.
Stuff like that, you know, I want to win a tournament doing stuff that's not known to be my strength. I want to be known as a well-rounded angler.
Yep.
Duck lure?
Duck lure. Yeah, I got 20 of them.
What does that mean?
It's like a stupid
The Weston duck? Weston show?
Spider lure.
When was that
tarantula?
Best in Show? Like 10 years ago?
Like 3.
3?
3 or 4, yeah.
I pulled into a Baton Rouge Bass Pro Shops, and this guy came up to me. I told Caleb this. The guy's like, "Yo, man, you know Caleb Sumrall? He's king around here." That's just what he said to me.
For real?
Yeah, I told you that after I saw the guy. Maybe you weren't listening, but I was laughing when the guy walked up to me. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's
He's
what he
king
said.
around here.
Yeah, that's what he said to me.
King Caleb.
Anyway, if you're watching, he's king. Here he is.
God, I wish I knew where that was.
I don't know.
He knows you.
All right. The last one I got for you guys before we can turn it over to the board and our guys, but you know, this is more of a preference. What kind of angler? And I don't want to hear, well, it depends on the lake. Well, of course it does. You know, but like, there's two schools of thoughts in tournament fishing, right? There's pattern fishing. There's, you know, searching out single fish, single bites, onesie, twosie bites here and there, you know, pattern fishing. And then there's spot fishing, you know, trying to find groups of fish, you know, schools of fish. Which kind of style do you kind of fall back to when it comes to tournament fishing? And is it as simple as running gun versus like settling down in an area?
I'll start this one out.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time enough catching 5 fish as it is. So I'm hardly never the guy that's finding the massive groups catching a bunch of fish.
Always on the mother load.
So I let that one answer itself. Yeah, so I'm more of a run and gun individual fish type of guy for sure. I know when I'm around fish, but you know, I bet you I can count. I don't think I've caught more than 10 or 12 keepers a day this year in a tournament. I mean, I've come in several times without a limit, and most of the times caught just 5, caught just 7 or 8, caught just 2 or 3 times. Had a good year, but never really lit the world on fire with fish catches, so I'm not the guy finding groups totally.
Yeah. You know, I think there's a fine line when it comes to using the word spot fishing. I think when you fish locally, you're fishing spots because you know the areas.
Exactly.
I think what we're trying to do is collaborate 5 or 6 different patterns per body of water that we can apply wherever you're going on the lake.
Different weather conditions.
Everything.
Different.
The whole 9. So, like, and I don't mean that to sound weird, like there's a fine line on spot fishing because, you know, we might find a spot where we might sit for the whole entire tournament, which are rare.
Yep.
You know, because I don't know many guys that sit in 4 days on one spot, but it does happen. It has happened. Guys have won that way. So I think the best way to do is collaborate a bunch of patterns that you could apply through the course of the day with changing conditions. That's what I think.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Very interesting questions.
Yeah. They are good questions, Guy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I have one school of thought on that, I guess, where I have found that, you know, you got to find these areas and practice and stuff. But I have found for me personally, I have way more success in the winter and during the spawn, winter, pre-spawn, and spawn, when I can settle down in an area, and I might bounce around and fire up the big motor a little bit, but where I just settle down with the trolling motor and am more thorough, I have better events when I'm like that. And then when
catching lethargic fish,
time comes all the way through the fall, through down here, it's November, December. Our fall lasts that long. It's running gun, like just as fast as much water as you can cover, but hitting as many areas and different areas and just running a milk run all over the lake. Where that's been my experience. And I've taken that out of the state and I've done well to where it's just like that's what I'm looking for. And it's a different school of thought, right? Because it's more of a seasonal thought.
Yes, that was my question for you because what you said was like, a lot of times what you're saying is what you can normally do locally. Like, so when I used to fish locally when I was younger, there was certain times a year where I knew I would excel because what I was good at would excel that time of year. You know, so like that's why, and then you said you took it other places. That was my question for you. So a lot of the guys that are probably, you know, listening are more or less local fishermen that are fishing their local spots. So like, let's say July, you're really good because you go way up creeks and it's colder and it's coming out and that's when you shine. So maybe you need to build on different techniques for different times of the year. You know, I think one of the best ways to learn a fish is actually fish for them in the wintertime, because in the wintertime is when they're moving. You know, if you're not froze over, in the wintertime is when they're chasing that bait, when they're setting up on points and they're getting on secondary points. You can literally follow them fish and see how they react. You know, I think that's a great way for a local guy to take his body of water, you know, hang the tree stand, don't do that, just go out and chase them fish instead. And you'll see a lot more movements out of them fish than you would see if you're doing your one scenario when you're good in July.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and we just thinking through the team tournament, we did that at Lay Lake. We'd never seen the body of water before. And we practiced, you know, he practiced Thursday, I showed up Friday, so we had 2 days of team practice there technically, and we were all over that body of water, you know, just trying to get hints and clues. And we found 2 areas that were far apart from each other, and we're like, well, you know, we don't have a lot of, like, we don't have a pattern, because we were just randomly catch one out of a grass bed, randomly catch one behind a dock or something. And it you know, we ended up with a money finish by buckling down in an area that honestly we knew had life in it, kind of like what Pete said. We kind of saw that there was life, side scanned like a school of just 20-some fish roaming the ditch of this creek, and decided to go there and just pick it apart. And it was cold, so you're getting like one bite every 40 minutes or something. But it turned out, you know, that approach worked for us, you know, rather than, you know, we would have rather had been a pattern, you know, oh man, we're on a grass bed bite, that's so good. But it just, you know, and I think it was more seasonal for us. So I've been able to take that outside of, I guess, the local stuff a couple times, but I really see what you're saying there now with that local emphasis, because you know so much.
Yeah,
about
well, that's good. You know, you went outside and you actually applied it, because that's really hard to do. You know, honestly, to go somewhere you've never been before and apply what you know and how you do it. That's the hardest thing. But if you can crack that code, you'll come out on top a lot of times.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Brian, that's my run of the mill on that topic. It's a lot of thought-provoking questions, and it's a lot of what our guys ask, you know, at our seminars all the time. So appreciate you guys giving us the goods on that. But we thinking about like a BassU battle?
I mean, we'd be remiss if we forgot to.
We have a request on the message board.
We haven't had one of these in a long time.
For a BassU battle for Caleb Sumrall and Greg DePalma.
I think we should get Riz involved in this.
I'm ready. I'm never scared.
Riz will take my answer and change it. I'm just kidding.
Throw the shake out.
You ever been on one of these?
No.
Yeah, you have.
Dude, it's like a roller coaster.
We have Caleb
Should we go to the bathroom first?
I would.
We did it at the Classic. Remember, Brian, you did like that mega BassU battle where we were just sliding in people in and out.
Oh yeah, Kel, were you part of one of them?
He probably was.
Oh yeah.
So what they do is they put a
yeah
yeah
we did
scenario.
one. Yeah, give you a scenario. How you catching them? Yeah.
And then we just decide who wins based off of.
And you can't say
whatever you want to see.
Flipping coins, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you the body of water so that we eliminate that depends on the lake.
Never been there.
It's got to be you two.
All right, that's fine.
We need 3 judges. Can't have 2 judges.
All right,
it won't
let's
work.
go.
You're so smart, Riz.
First body of water.
Damn.
You know me.
I do know you.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Sabine River.
Nope. I'm trying to think of where you guys are from because I had 3 scenarios.
We're like as far away as you can almost get.
Oh, it's pretty crazy.
His plane ride was 20 hours.
So we're gonna go Lake Okeechobee.
Never been there.
Me neither.
Okay.
Hey.
Fall. In the fall. So like big bowl of a lake down. You both never been to Okeechobee?
Great time of year to be there.
Is
I
it?
tell you.
It's horrible, actually.
Isn't Matt out and follow him, Caleb?
Yeah.
Fine. Let's go. Y'all, you guys have both been to say the Harris Chain, right?
Years ago. We're going there. We're going there
I've
this
never
year.
been there either. I had very little Florida experience.
Gosh,
JK freaking out.
Get Lake Guntersville, whatever. We're
We've
going
been
to
there
Guntersville.
like 4 times in like 3 years.
Going to Guntersville in the fall. It's October, and you found, a mother lode of fish out on the main river, or the main lake rather, and they are chomping at the bit on bait that looks like it's just sprinkling in the water. Teeny tiny bait, looks like fry almost. It's that classic fall scenario that happens on Guntersville. How you catching those fish? Schooling fish.
Real quick, it's hard. So these are schooling fish on small bait fish on Guntersville, and they're just going nuts everywhere it's out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Happens all the time. And everybody hates it because they're the hardest fish to catch.
All right.
I actually have a way to catch it, but I'm not allowed to say it. It's actually a very good technique. I'm going to tease y'all bad on this one.
All right, so Caleb,
No.
since you're the guest, I feel like you have choice
Man.
whether you want to go first or default.
I'm gonna.
Defer?
This is what I will. I'm gonna hold this one. I'm not gonna give this one up. But I'm gonna let you know that I got something.
All right, we already lost.
Brian's used to me doing this one.
Like no,
Greg
this,
won.
Greg won.
So I can.
The most important thing is matching the size of the forage. That's what I will say.
All right, so I'm gonna. Can I use 2 baits? Is that allowed or just one?
Yeah, you can tell me your approach, man.
So I've been faced with this scenario a lot of different times over the years.
Always caught them. Every time, right?
I've caught quite a few of them. I can tell you this. So, for instance, from my experience, when they're out there, they're busting, they're boiling. One thing in particular, out of my 2 baits that I do, when I throw that cast out there, I don't start reeling it. I just let it fall because what they're doing is they're eating bait, and anything that falls below that bait, that's what they're eating when it comes down through there.
With you on that.
So 2 things that I have experienced that work really good for these falling scenarios. Number 1 is a blade bait. Number 2 is a small swim bait.
Okay.
They're my 2 baits. Like I said, it's more about what I'm doing with the baits than it is anything. It's
Small
that,
swim bait's what I got, but it's just a little different way that I rig it. But it's the same exact scenario. You have to get it below the fish. You have to have the right slow fall through the bait and get it presented to the fish that are eating the dormant fish or eating pieces of shad, or, get it to the fish that are eating. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
One thing that I have noticed with these scenarios, a lot of times, and I've seen this on my eyeballs, these bass are literally going into the bait balls with their mouth closed. It's like they're working together. That's when you always see them wolfpack. They're going in and they're knocking the shad down, and the ones below it are just chomping the ones that are falling through. I've seen it so many darn times.
Dang, did you do that up here?
Huh?
Because that's the only place I've seen that is on the TVA.
We have a place here that does it.
Really?
Yes, we do. That's where I would always experience
it.
it.
Was Pickwick in the fall for a nation event. They were doing that. They were actually busting on the edge of Hydrilla mats. It's the only time I've ever seen them not in Hydrilla. But they were coming from the main river, busting tiny shad onto the mats and then going back out into the river. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I was like trying to punch. Could not get a bite punching. They were going onto the grass and then back out. But they were donks.
Isn't that something?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Bait that big.
Yep. Dude, when they get locked on something, dude, it's weird. Like they want just that.
Better be that big.
Yep.
Oh, what the hell?
Good luck picking a person on that one.
Well, I guess we'll dive into it. We got 3 judges. They were very similar answers. I'm giving Greg the dub.
You got to give Greg the dub on that one because I wasn't coming off. I'll give him that one.
That, Caleb. But the blade bait, I love that.
And you can bomb that thing, too. That's the difference. They come up way far away.
I got to get some.
Yeah.
Try it out.
It's pretty big here.
Big here. Big here.
Yep.
It's a scenario that helped me win the All-American last year, and we got the video with Brian Thread, BassU TV, and it was the same type of scenario. So pretty cool that you said that.
Yeah, how many
That's
times
why-
have you seen a fish blow up and you go over to them, then you get there and they blow up over there? Like it happens all the
every
time.
single time.
So the blade
Yeah, I
bait
mean,
is like,
you can sling a blade bait,
dude,
300
super
yards,
far
too.
on braid,
Yeah.
braid to float. Yeah.
It's actually funny we're talking about this, dude. I won the nation event in Hartwell on schooling fish in the fall on very small bait. They weren't busting on herring; they were busting on whatever type of small bait they were.
Yeah.
I will give you, because you already give De Palma one. I will give you one because I don't feel bad. I held back.
I mean, like your hotel room was covered. But go
The
ahead.
scenario.
I said was. Go ahead.
It was.
Get it back. Come on, Caleb. It ain't over yet. It ain't over yet.
So these fish, the water had slicked off in this exact scenario. They were on tiny bait, but these shad were making this V across the surface, and I seen that these fish were following them. There were schools of 3 and 4 4-pounders following 6 or 7 shad and forcing them to the surface, and they were just making this V. I tied on a fluke. It's the full-size fluke, whatever I had in the boat. I wasn't a guy that had a ton of tackle. But I started throwing it out there, and I started rod tipping it up and straight reeling it. The bait was doing nothing but making that V that the shad were making it, and they started crawling on that thing. Like, literally, like, whoosh! And I'm like, it was just a different profile. But I was noticing, the only thing that made me do that is I saw the shad pushing that water. The shad were, and then one group of them just got so close to the boat that I saw 3 and 4 pounders just under them, just following them and looking at them. I'm like, oh my God, I got to make that V. Tied a fluke on and just reeled it just under the surface and got mauled. It was actually a very interesting
That's
technique.
really cool.
That's dope, dude.
That's real cool.
I'm sorry I forgot about that.
No, you just won.
I appreciate. God damn, I stole it back from you.
Well, you won it from him.
You got my vote.
You got Brian's vote. I'm
Very
sticking
good.
with Greg. That's an awesome scenario and definite true to herring lakes.
I mean, it's
down in the
completely
south.
ridiculous to just dead reel a fluke in,
Straight
but
up.
He
but the-
noticed it. That's the big part.
But the fact
Yeah.
that you adapted
Yeah.
to what you saw,
If I wouldn't have saw those fish under those shad pushing them like that,
yeah,
like it was, I would have never made that adjustment, dude. It was
Right.
a cool one.
that's rad.
Well,
man.
you're in the land of like the weight bait. You know that V with the fluke is not foreign to local guys along the chain. And then you've got when I won, just knowing that V, like I don't ever hardly talk about it, but like when I won my first,
Get worms.
Release and think about it. That wasn't even my good secret.
yeah, I know. But when I won my first boat in 2013, the V is what won me the boat.
Really, that's
But I-
awesome.
Flying V,
But I
Mighty
was doing
Ducks.
it with a different-
I like it.
I was doing it with a different bait, but you had to make a V on the top of the water when it was
This
slick.
looks like they're
And
getting
that's-
pushed.
They,
Looks like they're
sick.
getting chased.
they just
Nervous bait.
respond to it.
sick.
That's good stuff. But all right, Riz, you got the tiebreaker.
Yep. So I like both answers. They both identified that you got to match the size of the bait that the fish are eating. That's always super key. Our guy Mike always talks about match the hatch. They both had 2 unique baits that they're going to use to catch these fish. And Greg's using a blade bait. Caleb, in certain situations, is going to use a fluke. Now, what really set the answer over the edge for me with Greg was the distance of the cast for the blade bait when you see those fish come up schooling. And I mean, I haven't thrown a fluke enough to really know, but I know that with that blade bait, how easily if I was to see fish come up schooling 3 or however far away,
You can hit 'em.
that I can grab that spinning rod with that blade bait on there and absolutely bomb that piece of metal out to them and get it inside of those active fish in that moment, that I think I'll be able to trigger bite. I don't know that I'll be able to do that as efficiently with a fluke, nor do I know if that fluke will get down below the schooling fish quick enough to trigger that bite, just because I know it's such a quick thing. It's so timing oriented that you got to be able to get that bite while it's happening as soon as you see them come up, because oftentimes once you see them come up and you pick a rod up and you decide you're going to make a cast, they're already back down. So that's why I like the idea of the blade bait, and it's something that is overlooked by so many guys. There's not many people that are incorporating the stupid metal blade bait into their arsenal, but it just flat out catches fish. It really does.
You
So-
could have just said Greg, but it's all good.
Hey, this is Bass University. I had to give details to the answer.
You could have just said Greg. It's all good.
Wait to the next one.
No doubt.
All right, so
you were
so
talking. I
remember-
just couldn't wait to say it.
I love it.
Congratulations to Greg winning the BassU battle, but let me go ahead and tell you a scenario that played out just like that at Lake Guntersville, which was the lake. And there was a big college tournament. There's 200, 300 boats, typical college tournament. And this was 8, 9, 10 years ago, probably about 8 or 9 years ago. And our pal, Brad Rutherford, who's the pro staff director over at Pure Fishing, won that tournament, blew it out of the water.
What?
He was throwing a 7-inch triple trout with like a 4, 5-inch fluke trailers threaded onto it as the tail. Big profile. He went opposite of Match the Hat.
Yeah.
And crushed their faces in. So just another scenario that I love y'all's answers, but I had to throw that out there because I've never been able to repeat it, but it happened, so I have no clue why, but he got it down below the bait with that big triple trout and crushed him.
So you just gave up Brad Rutherford's secret, but you're gonna hold on.
Yeah,
to your own.
what secret that got written about? That was no
okay.
secret.
But you gonna hold on to yours?
Who, mine?
Yeah.
I have to share mine?
You said you were going to give us a scenario of when you won.
When I won.
The Flying V.
Oh, no, yeah, that was burning a swim jig. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The weed guard comes out of the water, it makes the V, and then your chunks back there daubing it like a horny toad.
Huh.
And they crushed it.
Ironing it.
Open water.
Both.
If it was open, Alabama swimming it.
Okay.
I like it.
Cool stuff.
It had to be made V if you weren't contacting the dog fennel. But the dog fennel's gone. That pattern won't even work at Hartwell anymore.
No.
It's over. It was more of a dog related thing, and that's not there anymore.
I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
No. I didn't know if I could be talking about Hartwell right now.
Oh.
I didn't realize he was on Hartwell, so I'm just getting that out of the way. I qualified for Classic. Can't talk about that.
Okay, my bad.
Don't talk about that.
But that's
I said that I'm good.
Nobody
we're
watches
good.
this anyway. We're good.
Well, it's also public.
Okay. I
Yeah,
guess that
it's true.
Okay.
Public info.
I don't know. I'm not the tournament director.
Don't get me in trouble. Stop talking about Hartwell.
True.
Great BassU battle. I like that. That was
good job, Riz.
That was good. It's very relevant. Thanks, Greg.
No problem.
Biased judges here.
Oh, they are. No, they're not. I usually lose.
Yeah, they are.
It feels like a good time to start taking her home. It's guys.
Yeah. So we actually got a grand prize that's going out the door tonight. It's $100 worth of Bass University sponsored product. That's TH Marine, Missile Baits, Rapala, Rod Warrior.
Wait, what's that do nothing crawl named after Shannon?
Do nothing.
Missile
crawl.
crawl.
Do nothing.
Crawl Father.
Missile crawl.
That's right.
Missile crawl. So, guys, tonight's grand prize trivia question is going to be relevant to tonight's show. I need a specific answer answering my specific question. Now, during tonight's show, GDP identified one bait that he uses when he absolutely needs to get a limit or get that fifth in the boat. What is that? And what is Caleb's go-to technique to catch fish? What is GDP's limit bait? And what's Caleb's go-to technique to catch fish?
Answer's priority up there.
Don't.
They're quick.
Yeah, man.
I need both in the same answer, guys. Both in the same answer.
So what bait were you punching with today when you busted that fatty?
Missile Baits. D-bomb.
D-bomb, yeah. Yep.
I mean, I ain't sponsored by them, but dude, a D-bomb is probably literally one of the best.
It's like the perfect size.
Yeah,
it literally is.
It's legit.
Yeah.
And soft, and they hold it.
Yep.
Ooh.
Great hookup ratio.
Yeah, they're great baits.
We got a winner.
Yep.
We
That
got
didn't
a
take long. What's up?
Yep. We
They're
got
quick.
a
They're
winner.
always quick.
Matt Gowdy.
Gowdy on it
coming
again.
through. Man, he's having an absolute
fire.
night on the message board. Great job, Matt Gowdy. That's good work out of you, kid. 5-inch Senko, wacky rigged. And the punching is Caleb's go-to technique. Congratulations, Matt
Give
G.
that man his prize.
Yes, sir. All right.
punched a cow nose Ray the other night.
Yeah, you did.
Did you really?
It became famous. It popped up on the Facebook.
Yeah. Stories all about it. You can hear more about that if you go to the Ike Live podcast tab and listen to last Sunday's show.
Way to go, Brian.
Yeah. Well,
no, it's great. We'll get into detail of that after we close.
Yeah. He got me pretty good, so it's all good, man. Rich, hit that Facebook like and share.
Yeah, so guys, we also got a Facebook like and share going out tonight. Guys, if you haven't liked and shared tonight's feed, you still got time. Go ahead and do that now. Let's get a few more in there. We got some awesome stuff coming out the doors tonight during the show. And also, we're dropping awesome new content for you guys over on BassU TV every week. Coming up this week, tomorrow night, I'm super stoked about this one because the man, the myth, the legend, Ken Duke, in our interview that we did with him at the Bassmaster Classic, is going to be released tomorrow. And then later this week, we got Bobby Lane talking about buzz toads, which is an absolutely dynamite seminar, and it's something that's applicable to this time of the year. The buzz toad is an absolute player when you're fishing around grass. It's it's a great technique where we were today, Caleb. There's times where that buzz toad is absolutely unbeatable. Next week, we got a remastered seminar with Ike and Pete talking about frog fishing, which everybody loves, and that's going to be right around the same time that our Frog Days of Summer promo is coming to an end before we roll into the next one, guys. So if you haven't signed up yet for BassU TV, now's a great time. Get signed up. We're going to send you 2 River to Sea-ish fat frogs, and you're going to get a Bass University official camo hat, and you're going to get unlimited access to over 900 bass fishing videos, all with one goal in mind, to help you catch more big bass.
That was great, bro?
Dude, he's good. I'm telling you, man.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
You earned your birthday, Rich.
Yes.
You did.
You get to be 31 now.
Really coming into it at 31, dude.
Yeah.
Still strong.
Really coming into it. Only took 30 trips around the sun, but we're getting it.
That's awesome.
And now for something completely different, I'm going to stumble through a TH Marine promotion.
Yeah.
Trip over my.
Go ahead, Brian. Take it away.
And this is the opposite end. So I can't know much without my reading glasses. TH Marine's got some Lifesaver bundles. It's a little deal they're running here at the end of the year to help save your skin and your catches. We have the Skin Saver bundle, $49. The Scale Tipper bottle for $99. I don't know what the heck's in it, but it's pretty awesome stuff. Rich, did you open the link?
Yeah.
See what's on here?
Yeah. You got this, man. Come
Riz
on.
is doing your job too now.
This is a text message. I can't open the link, so. But it's awesome. Check it out.
All right. So tonight's Facebook like and share winner.
Put him on the spot. Show.
I'll put myself on that spot.
Guys, tonight's Facebook like and share winner for this Bass University Live is Clint Bartlett. Clint Bartlett from North Carolina. Congratulations. You just won yourself an awesome Bass University prize pack from all of our sponsors. Is headed out the door to you.
Clint Bartlett.
Clint Bartlett.
Is that Clint?
It is Clint. Yeah, you didn't realize it.
Yeah,
it is that Clint. We know Clint. How about that?
Yeah, he's came with Oliver Knives.
Yes, sir.
Holding cameras and
yeah, he's a big bait slinger.
Oh, what up, Clint? I know Clint.
Yeah, Clint.
I know Clint.
Yeah,
what up, dog.
The hip remover.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah. All right.
Clint.
All right.
He
Greg,
does,
so you're getting married tomorrow?
The Black Rifle coffee tents at the
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've seen a guy. I don't know him, but yeah.
Yeah.
What's this, Brian?
So you're getting married?
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
No.
When is it?
I would not be here if I was getting married tomorrow.
No.
Yes. I'm sorry. No offense,
Ike
guys.
fished on the day he got married.
I don't think I can swing that one.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100% the way to do
Dude,
it.
A limo picked us all up. We're down, in Virginia on the
Time out.
James.
Is this marrying Becky or?
Yes.
Okay. Just clarifying that. He's.
Yes.
I had.
Story over. God, dog.
But yeah, so they picked us up. We had waders. They took us to this section of the James River that you should absolutely not be in a pair of waders. Rapids, deep holes.
For real?
Oh yeah, watch John McCraw. Whoosh. John 6'6".
Gone underwater.
Oh yeah, you see him come up on the other side. I think 2 or 3 phones went that day.
Jesus.
But anyhow, but yeah, Mike was. He was so calm. We were all nervous. Like, oh my God, we're gonna be late. Where's the limo? Where's Pete? And can't call nobody. Phones are missing. McGraw's still underwater. And
McGraw's swimming down the river.
And Mike's still trying to catch a smallmouth. He's just like focused on it. That was impressive.
Wow, Bob McGraw.
Yeah, he was no stress whatsoever. But anyhow, how did we get on that?
Because you asked me if I was getting married yesterday.
Oh yeah,
or
Not
tomorrow
sure.
or something.
Yeah.
Completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Way to go, Brian.
Dude, thank you so much for coming into
Dude,
town. It's
thank
been a
you for having
blast.
me. Yeah, man.
It's been
Really
a blast.
Dude, this was a good show. It was juicy.
Hell yeah, it was.
I liked
Appreciate
it.
it, man.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
Thank you guys for having me. It's been a good experience.
Yeah.
Like live show, the BassU show, dude. Filming with you guys today. It's been good.
Yeah.
Like to pass on knowledge, man. Like to
Yeah.
get the juice, have some fun, do some sharking.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Most
Not
of it.
all of it. One little
Right on.
deal.
Yeah.
I gave up some juice today, so
No doubt.
it'll be a good
Heck
wash.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like it.
All right, man. Anybody
Awesome.
got anything else to say?
I'm just going to say thanks, for Caleb and GDP and Riz, BTC. Thank you guys. Another great show. And until next Tuesday at 7 p.m., I am your professional fish ed at BassU Live. See you next week.
See you guys.
See you, everybody.
Moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse. Everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
Not good.
Motor oil. Gotta keep the rust off all these baits. WD-40.
Keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.